2025. Dee, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance,
Sure.
please?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All right. Can I have approval of the minutes of May 8th, 2025, and May 20th, 2025?
So move.
Can we take them one at a time, please?
Sure, okay.
I move to approve the minutes of May 8, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval for the minutes, Dee, for me.
I move to approve the minutes of May 20th, 2025.
I have a motion,
Second.
second.
Discussion, have we got an updated copy where our comments were left out in the first one?
Yes, I emailed that out.
You did?
I did. Would you like a copy? I have a hard copy.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Thank you.
So we have a second. All in favor, we said aye. Anybody opposed? Dan, you all set with that?
Yes, I am, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Who was the second? Mike was the second. So that was 5-0?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so right now, we will, the board will hear a report on the town's hazard mitigation plan. And,
New business first.
oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. So we will have new public business. And if we could limit the comments to about 2 minutes, the clerk is going to be running a timer. Please go up to the podium, introduce yourself, and everybody's welcome to speak. Thank you. Lauren? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll try to keep this to 2 minutes. Lauren Steves, Town Meeting Member Precinct 3. I was here last meeting briefly speaking about the need for electronic voting devices at town meeting. I since done quite a bit of research, and I wanted to bring that information to the board tonight. The reason for the electronic voting, I think voice votes can be subjective. A person with louder voice may unintentionally carry more weight, while those with quieter or speech impairments or accents can be overlooked. It's not a level playing field, and that undermines the fairness of the process. Electronic voting offers a clear solution by providing greater accuracy, transparency, and efficiency. It eliminates the ambiguity of interpreting vocal responses and removes the need for time-consuming roll call or standing votes. Electronic voting addresses accuracy, which makes sure every vote is counted. It provides transparency, showing results immediately. It provides efficiency and avoids a delay of roll call or standing votes. It promotes inclusivity, that everyone has an equal say no matter how loud their voice. It doesn't change how town meeting is run. It just improves how we record the decisions we make together. In Massachusetts, there are 32 towns that operate under representative town meeting. 17 towns, over half, have adopted electronic voting systems. Some have used them for over a decade, while others have just recently made the switch. I know there may be some questions or concerns about this that I wanted to address. The first one is the cost. And while there is an initial expense, investing in accuracy and accessibility is a wise use of public funds. Many towns have found creative ways to cover it. For example, Shrewsbury, recently their state senator secured $12,000 in the legislature for funding to purchase their system. Considering the stakes of town meeting decisions, it's a smart investment in accuracy and trust. Ease of use. These systems are intentionally simple. Think of a single clicker button keypad device. Most towns report that people of all ages pick them up quickly and have no trouble using them after a brief intro. There may be questions about preserving tradition, and this isn't about replacing town meeting. It's about making sure every vote's counted clearly and fairly. The debate, the discussion, the process all stays the same. Some people might say that town meeting doesn't meet to vote that often, and maybe we don't, but when we do, those votes matter. A close budget decision or policy shift can have big consequences, and every vote deserves to be counted precisely. And then lastly, what if the tech fails? Like with any system, you have a backup plan. In the event of a malfunction, you can fall back on roll call or standing votes, just like we do now. And I just want to provide a real real-world example that just recently happened. In the May 20th, 2025 town meeting in Shrewsbury, Article 40 proposed implementing electronic voting. The moderator ruled the noes had it, but a standing vote showed the motion passed 84 to 52. The moderator himself said afterward, and this is why they needed electronic voting. Feedback from towns with clerks that I spoke with, the town clerk in Belmont said, it's been a game changer, removing doubt from the equation. The product is simple, easy to support, and doesn't even need IT help. The clerk in Billerica said it's fast, simple, reliable. It's improved the pace of meetings and, more importantly, added real accountability. The South Hadley town clerk said it was positive and recommended communities utilize this tool. So in closing, I just think it's a small change that can have a big impact. It's about making sure our democratic process is fair, clear, and accessible to everyone. And I urge this board to consider bringing electronic voting to our town meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. This is a lot of information. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Anybody else? Bill?
Bill Bradstreet, Town Meeting Member, Precinct 1. In the past, when I've asked about something, I've always asked, tell me you're working on it. There's two things that I'd like to maybe get an update on. One is about the dead and dying trees at Pope's Landing. How are we doing about trimming them, cutting them down, replacing them? And the other was, I had asked in the past for a list of covenants or trusts that the town has, where they are, who set them up, how much they're worth, who has control over them, how can they be dissolved or treated in any way. I know that's a lot of questions, but I'd like to learn. And that came about because of the covenant behind King's Rand. Thank you.
Thank you. We can have the town manager look into that, and we'll get back to you about that. Thank you. Anybody else? Natalie?
Natalie Fiore, I live in Precinct 2. So, there's been a lot of talk about words matter in the last couple meetings. I don't think it's just for current elected officials. I think it's for past ones also, and for any other person who serves on a board or a committee in this town. During the recent select board election cycle, a campaign flyer was printed and distributed by Gardner Trust Campaign and left at residents' doors. It made inflammatory and deeply irresponsible claims, stating, just briefly, the control of the Danvers Select Board is at stake. 5 of the 7 candidates running registered Republicans, supported by the Town Republican Committee, whose goal is to interject the chaos of their national platform into the day-to-day practical responsibilities of the Select Board. This accusation was made without a shred of evidence. It was a calculated attempt to smear me based, I'm going to speak just for me, I'm not going to speak for the other candidates, to smear me based solely on party affiliation and to sow fear and distrust into our community. That is not campaigning, that is character assassination. That kind of rhetoric is toxic. It's beneath the dignity of a town official or a former official. It undermines our nonpartisan system. I've been on a board and committees and have never caused chaos personally. The claim that control of the Danvers Select Board is at stake is not just misleading, it's a deliberate misrepresentation. The Select Board is not a battleground for political dominance. It's a forum for collaboration and service to all residents regardless of political affiliation. By invoking the language of control, this statement seeks to sow division and distrust without justification. Such tactics are unbecoming of a public official. Leadership is measured by how we speak, how we listen, and how we treat those with whom we may disagree.
Thank you, Natalie. Would anybody else like to get up? This is everybody's chance to come on up and speak. Okay. We will now go on to, the board will hear a report on the town's hazard mitigation plan. And we have Chief Brian Barry here. And Brian, could you go up to the podium and let everybody know about it and how they can find out about it, where they can find it, et cetera?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. As part of my role as the town's emergency management director, I've been working with the town's hazard mitigation planning committee and a consultant, Jamie Kaplan, who's joining us this evening remote through the wonders of technology. Hopefully it works. So we started the process last fall. I think it was August. We've been meeting on a regular basis with the goal of, by the end of this month, to have an updated plan in place. Jamie acted as the project manager, and her assistance has been extremely valuable. Tonight, she's going to give a presentation as part of the public outreach and involving the public in this process. After this evening, there will be, I have a hard copy of the plan, the draft plan, and it's available for review by anybody in the public who'd like to take a look at it and give comment to it. It'll also be posted, so this will be in the clerk's office at Town Hall, and it will also be at the fire station and fire headquarters. Anybody else can go to the town's website. If you go to the fire department, there's a emergency management tab under the fire department section of the town's website. It will also be posted there, and there'll be an electronic Google document where you can give comment and feedback to the committee. That'll be for a period of 2 weeks. I believe that ends June 17th. At the end of that time, we'll take all the comment, consider it, finalize the document, and the goal is to have it in place by the end of the month. So with that, I'll open up the meeting to Jamie Kaplan from Kaplan Consulting. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
We can hear you quite well.
Okay. I had no idea. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is help you to understand what in the world hazard mitigation is and what your plan is and why you have one and our process of putting it together. And then, as the chief said, you'll have an opportunity to review the plan. So just a little background about me and my team. We're under contract with the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency. We've been working with MEMA for just over 3 years now. We've updated 27 plans across the state. We've also currently been working with communities that have high hazard potential dams where that analysis was not included in their mitigation plan, and we're adding an annex to those already approved plans. We do work as a team and we do work nationwide. We've been doing this work for over 25 years, worked with the city and county of Maui, worked with the territory of American Samoa, with Indian tribes. You name it, we've been all over the country. But I am based in Northampton. So just some background on what hazard mitigation is and where it fits into that big picture of emergency management. When you think of emergency management, usually we talk about it in terms of these 4 different pieces. Preparedness is quite simply what we do when we know a disaster is coming. So for instance, when we have winter storms and everybody rushes to the supermarket for bread and eggs, etc., you're preparing for the disaster. Response is what the chief does. When things go wrong, you respond. Very simple. Recovery, I like to think about that as putting the pieces back together. But mitigation is what we do on days like today. It's beautiful, at least in Northampton right now. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's not even too buggy yet. But we know we can have heavy rains like we did this past weekend. We know we're going to have extreme temperatures in the future. We know that we're going to have snowstorms. And mitigation is what you can do to lessen the impact of those hazards. So we can't stop them from happening, but we don't have to suffer when they do happen. So mitigation planning is really this foundation for risk reduction, and communities across the country have hazard mitigation plans in place. You're required to have a plan in place to be eligible for what we call pre-disaster mitigation funding. So to get grant funding to lessen your levels of risk, for instance, if you wanted to replace a culvert somewhere, you can get that money you can try and get it, no guarantees, but if you have a mitigation plan in place and the state reviews your plan and then FEMA reviews your plan, and after FEMA's review, the plan comes back to the city or town for adoption. So it's at that time when this community the select board will adopt the plan. All right, so a little bit more about mitigation. I kind of gave you a definition for it already, but one key thing to know is that it saves money as well as lives. So if we wait to try and recover from a disaster, we may lose people, we may lose property, and it's exponentially more expensive to rebuild as opposed to build safely in the first place. So it's certainly a smart investment. Your mitigation plan will focus on your greatest vulnerabilities, and we'll talk about that a little bit today. We've identified what we believe to be cost-effective mitigation actions for reducing risk. The plan does communicate the town's priorities. These are not mine or my team's priorities. We review all the plans that you have in place and engage you in our planning process, as the chief mentioned. We've been working closely with him. And ultimately, when you implement the plan, you should save lives and dollars. So the mitigation plan was developed. We've been working on it since September of 24. We had a kickoff meeting with the chief. We put together a hazard mitigation planning committee made up of key members of your community and met with them 4 times over the last several months. Typically, we have 2 public meetings with this community. We're having 1 today. And then you all have the opportunity to review the draft plan. The committee has already reviewed the draft plan. And just for some background, you did have a mitigation plan in place already that was developed by the MAPC in 2019. So this is an update to that plan. It is a complete redo. It won't look and feel like the 2019 plan, but some of the content is, of course, similar. And then you also have in place a what we call an MVP plan, which is your municipal vulnerability preparedness plan. Some of you may have participated in that back in 2020. Both of those plans give recommendations, or what we like to call mitigation actions, these projects that you may do to lessen your levels of risk. And then we look to the state's plan, which was released back in December of 24, to be consistent with that plan. So when you think about risk, we're looking at this potential for damage and loss when there's this interaction between natural hazards and with community assets. So think about it kind of like a tree falling in the woods. Does anybody get hurt? Does anybody hear it? That wouldn't be, there's no risk there, right? If the tree is by itself. So when we think about your risk, we're looking at where your natural hazards will cross the boundaries to impact with your community. And all hazards work differently that way. So for instance, flooding won't be equal throughout the town. Some areas will have more flooding than other areas. But if you look at something like extreme temperatures or heavy winds, most likely that would be equal throughout the town. So we're looking for where those two interact. When we think about extent, that's the range kind of what's possible. So for instance, if we write a plan for the city of San Francisco or LA, the extent of earthquake is going to be much higher or greater than for communities in Massachusetts. We have small earthquakes. We also look backwards to what's happened in the past, and we look forward to what we expect to happen. We do consider climate change in terms of how it impacts your natural hazards. And in terms of your community assets, we're thinking about the population. And with that, we're looking at areas that may have environmental justice communities. You may have senior communities. We want to consider all of those. We look to what's your built environment, and that includes your infrastructure as well as buildings. We look to how your natural environment is impacted and how it can be protected, and the impacts to your economy. So it's a pretty involved process. And for natural hazards, this is the list that's included in your plan. Excuse me, you can see it's pretty much of a laundry list, if you will. We come up with absolutely everything we can possibly think of, and review each of those in that way in terms of how they interact with your community assets. Sorry about that. A little bit more about your community assets. We focus on what we call critical facilities. And when you think of critical facilities, this could be your fire stations, police stations, could be hospitals, schools, shelters, your key utilities. So we look at all of these and then we map each of them in terms of where they're going to interact with these hazards. Sorry about that. So through that analysis, we try to understand which hazards are going to pose your greatest risk. So when we're looking at risk, if you look at across the top of this table, we're thinking about probability. So for instance, are you going to have heavy rains? Are you going to have severe weather, high temperatures? Yes, right? You don't need anything special to know it. It will happen. And 4 is the highest score you can get on this table. Then we're looking to impact. What will that impact be? Spatial extent has to do with where it will be. So that's why something like flooding is going to be less than a winter storm, which impacts typically the whole community fairly equally. We look at warning time. Do we get warning or not for certain things? So for instance, earthquakes, no warning, they just happen. We get so much warning for winter storms, by the time they're supposed to happen, sometimes they don't. Duration, how long is this disaster going to be, if you will? We come up with a value and then we rank your hazards in order of risk. The key takeaway with all of this is not to let yourself get bogged down with, should something be a 2 or a 3? It doesn't matter. This is a big picture of high, medium, and low buckets, if you will. And it's just a way to organize your thinking and to prioritize your resources. So if I said to you, here's $100, go mitigate risk, you would want to spend it on wildfires as opposed to earthquakes. So that's the point of doing this. It's just a way to manage your thinking and in turn your resources. You are required in a mitigation plan to provide actions for all the hazards listed. So for everything listed here, we've addressed it in your plan. So your plan has 6 goal statements. I like them to be in categories, if you will. I think it's hard to get into the weeds with lots of text. So we always have saving lives and property as our first overarching goal statement, no matter what plan we're working on. We've called out high hazard potential dams in your plan specifically, and we've met an additional federal requirement with your plan so that you're eligible for high hazard potential dam funding in addition to other funding sources. So sort of above and beyond with that. Local plans and regulations, for this, we're talking about how you can increase your capacity to mitigate risk as a town. Buildings and infrastructure, really simple, right? You want to protect them. We want you to prioritize protecting your natural resources, and that can include water conservation and renewable energy. And then education is something that we typically put in a goal statement as well. And with this, we're thinking about educating the people who work in the community as well as educating out to residents of the community. So when we think about your risk assessment and all those hazards I mentioned, the end of our risk assessment chapter will have what we call problem statements. These impacts create problems. The mitigation actions are the what you can do about it. They're the solutions. And when we're looking for solutions, we look into these 4 categories of mitigation actions. And all the projects we come up with fit into these categories. Local plans and and regulations. This could be how you build buildings, where you build them, right? So if you do not allow people to build in high hazard areas by a bylaw or some kind of regulation, that's a very effective way to mitigate risk. It takes political will, but not necessarily a lot of money. Any kind of policies or codes that you make typically fall into that, or any plans that you would write. Then structure and infrastructure projects. It's easy to come up with these. They're usually big budget. They are necessary. They do help. And you definitely have them included in your plan. Natural systems protection. We've certainly found nationwide that if we work with the environment and protect the environment, it in turn protects our built environment and people. So we want to preserve and restore functions of the natural systems. And then education and awareness programs, which are fairly self-explanatory. So your mitigation actions, and this is an example of one of them, will all have what I refer to as essential details. So across the top there, where it says increase the size of dam spillways, that would be considered the title of your action. And in this case, this is the first action in your plan, and it's given a high priority. All your actions are prioritized in the buckets again of high, medium, and low. And again, that's a way to just organize thinking. If you have lots of money and you can do everything, great. If you have a certain amount, then you would want to implement your high priority actions first. So then we describe the action, and we try here to make it really clear why you would want to do this action. So here, storms are increasing in size and intensity, and the dam spillways are undersized. So it's pretty simple. They need to be increased. We give the lead position in the town. It has to be somebody, it has to be a position in the town. We never name the person. People change jobs, but the position is always there. We list supporting agencies. This could be other departments in the town. It could be organizations or departments outside of the town. Really, anything goes with that. For the cost, we give an estimate of high, medium, or low cost, and that range is defined in your plan. Then we've listed funding sources, and we list as many as we can identify. So here, of course, the most likely place you would get funding is from that high hazard potential dams grant program through Department of Conservation and Recreation. We define which hazards the action is mitigating, and then when you hope to implement the actions. A key thing to know about your mitigation actions are that it's a wish list. No community will implement all of their actions within the 5 years that the plan is good for. So, don't look at the community and 4 or 5 years from now and say, you didn't do these 3 things. That's okay. Nobody does them all. So this is a list that just shows some examples of actions that are in your plan without all the essential details, just to give you a sense of the types of projects that are in there. For instance, we've got adding a backup generator to the senior center, upgrading and replacing undersized culverts in the Upper Valley Road neighborhood, protecting the harbor master's office from flooding, mitigating frost fish brook flooding, conducting regulatory reviews and updates to town bylaws that incorporate climate resilience considerations. I don't need to read all these to you, but you can see by looking at this, we've included all 4 types of mitigation actions, as well as we're making an effort to reach all the different kinds of natural hazards that can impact your community. So when you look at the plan, and I encourage you to do so, it is long. There's a lot of content in there, but I wanted to give you a sense of where to find what may interest you. So the introduction is really pretty basic, but one thing that you'll see in there are some changes that we've called out that have happened in the town and changes to the plan. You'll also see when you look at the plan that FEMA requirements are listed usually like in a green or blue call out box. And we do this because we're trying to almost spoon feed content to FEMA. So the requirements that they have, I like to put them in there. Here's what you required. And right below that will be the content that meets that requirement. And I do this because they are inundated with plans, and FEMA's, as you all are aware, I'm sure, in a bit of disarray, and we want to really get their attention and allow them to move quickly through the review of the plan if possible. Your planning area profile really sets the stage for the plan. It talks about how you use land. It talks about what critical facilities are in the community. It gives some demographic information. Then your planning process is written strictly for FEMA, and that describes how we developed this plan. The meetings that we had with the committee and with you folks will be in there. And then the risk assessment will be the longest chapter in your plan, or is the longest chapter in your plan. And that gives a really detailed hazard profile for every single one of those hazards I showed you. Pardon me, and then summarizes the risk for each hazard and then for all the hazards at the end. And like I mentioned to you before, then you end up with these problem statements. Your capability assessment, similar to a risk assessment, it's an analysis where we look at the town's capacity to mitigate risk. What plans do you have in place? What staff do you have and what's their capacity? For instance, like, do you have a geographic information systems program and professional? We look at what finances you have, what education and outreach opportunities you're engaged in, and what's your participation level with the National Flood Insurance Program. And then the mitigation strategy is typically the most important part of the plan. This is where you'll see the goal statements and your full list of mitigation actions. And then the plan maintenance chapter talks about how the town's going to implement this plan, which should include public engagement, continued public engagement. Almost done. So the next steps are that you're going to hopefully review the plan and give us some feedback if there's changes or problems, things you'd like to see. By all means, let us know. The plan has to go to the state by the end of this month. So we will do that. You should be aware that any public comment that comes in gets recorded and included in the plan. The body of the plan does not change based on public comments unless the Hazard Mitigation Planning Committee wants to make the change. And as I mentioned to you before, we'll send the plan to the state at the end of this month. The state will take some time to review it, then they'll send it to FEMA, who will take time to review it. Eventually, it's going to come back to you all for adoption. And I'll see you through the process of that. And then I just had a couple slides, kind of food for thought for all of you, because I think when you start talking about emergency management, people start thinking about their own homes and communities. So this is just a list of some things that we can all do in our own homes to protect ourselves from flooding or storm surge. And then the next slide talks a little bit about how you can get a little more involved. Danvers does have a sign up so you can get notified about disasters or emergencies. And you have two choices. They are the Blackboard, which is, it says here, the town of Danvers uses Blackboard Connect, and to receive alerts using the link above, whatever. So you can go to that website, and then if you look on the fire department's page, that's where you're going to see more information about this plan and other things you can do, like building your own home kit or work kit, and I encourage everybody to do that. All right, and then just a couple other websites to take a look at. Massachusetts has some good preparation for homeowners or residents, and FEMA still has some. And I really do like the ready.gov website. So if you haven't looked at that, it's a good one. And that's my contact information. And I'm not sure whether you're allowing questions or not, but typically we do, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Excellent, thank you. I will open it up.
You're
to-
welcome.
Yep, thank you, and thank you, Brian. Chief Gardner, do you have any questions?
Well, I look forward to reading it online. I got this flyer. Do you want to give us a sneak preview? What are the top 3 hot issues in Danvers?
You want me to tell you the top issues in Danvers?
Either you or the chief.
She has the plan right in front of her, so it's probably, but I mean, in the highest mitigation actions, there is definitely the generator for the senior center was one of them. Because we've, in the past couple of years, considered and actually used that as like a warming center or a cooling center during extreme heat and cold temperatures. But if you think about it, during extreme weather, you're likely to lose power sometimes or have a brownout during the summer. So that's something that we really should look into. It's a great facility, and it would be a great location for that, but we would need that generator. So that's the number one thing. And the other stuff is mostly related to culverts. Jamie, maybe you can bail me out on that one.
Yeah, I can help you out. So the public water wells we've called out because many of them are shallow and at risk to flooding. So we've got in here looking at that. Definitely upsizing and redesigning some culverts, designing detention and retention features in parks to handle flooding, including College Pond and Endicott Park. I believe I already mentioned to you the Harbor Master's office. We've got in here a call out for Ash and Purchase Streets and the culvert there. Replacing steel drainage culvert on the Porter River at Conant and Elliott and Poplar Streets. Mitigating frostfish brook flooding. It goes on, but you'll see them in the plan. And, if you feel like there's something that's missing, then by all means, just let us know.
Thank you very much. I'm all set.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Gardner. Mike?
Thank you. Jamie, do you evaluate our emergency response after an incident?
I do not.
Okay.
That is not, that's not something we do at all. No.
Okay. Is there, in the plan, is there training that you advise for any of our systems?
There's, I don't remember if we called out training. We do have education listed in here. There are education actions, so that would be the extent of the training that's in there. Okay. Some of what you're thinking of, I think, would typically fall into a response plan.
Okay. All right. And this is a 5-year plan?
This is a 5-year plan. Once FEMA reviews it and you all adopt it, it's good for 5 years.
Do you check in with us yearly, or is this just, we just run with this and then?
You just run with it, but I'm happy to be here for you. So
Okay.
If you need help with it, and we have been hired in the past to implement plans. That's certainly something we can consider. The Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency paid us to develop your plan. I can't imagine they'll pay us to implement your plan, so that would be something that we'd have to talk about on the side. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
You all set?
What else?
Dee?
Thanks, Jamie, and thanks, Chief. Seems like a really comprehensive plan. The minute you said the generator at the senior center, I was sold. I figure it's a good thing because when I was on the Board of Health, that was of concern. And it was sure about, it wasn't necessarily the cost, right? It's also the way it has to be hooked to the system. Is that what the problem is? And is it really something, because that has come up a lot, and I think we want to get that done sooner than later.
Yes. If through the chair, if you're all right with me answering that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there are other buildings in town that do have backup generators. In some cases, they don't power the air conditioning. They might power the heat to keep pipes from freezing, but they may not. So the design of the backup generator system is critical, and I think that a lot of effort would have to, and thought and effort would have to be put into that.
Okay, thank you. And on a practical term, there are copies with the town clerk. How many copies, if I may ask?
So I only printed out one copy to leave with the clerk, and it's a 400-page document.
Exactly. So when we say in-person viewing, if a resident wanted to take a look practically, how does that look like?
Sure. So
I mean,
also
400 pages.
online, on the town's website, under the fire department, emergency management, there's a PDF that you can download to your computer, your phone, and you could read it that way as well without having to print it.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that would be more advisable. People.
Yeah, don't print it, lots of copies.
Yes.
And it's
save
too
trees.
long and it's still in draft form.
I'm happy to have people come to the clerk's office. I could set them up in the Toomey room or in our office if somebody wanted to actually sit and look at it.
Okay, that's why I just like the fact that there's also an online option for that. Shelters, and I don't know, is this public information how many shelters we have in town?
So that's all part of the comprehensive emergency management plan. So the primary shelter that we would use would be the high school.
And
So
then
that's the plan in place would be to utilize that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Dee. Do you mean shelters like in case of people needed places to go?
No, emergency shelters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the high school would be the primary shelter.
Okay, and the senior center as the backup.
Yeah, so if it was an event that was going to be long duration and maybe involve people staying overnight or things like that, then it would most likely be the high school in the gymnasium, because that's, the generator there covers heat and air conditioning, and it would suffice for that. A smaller scale where it's just a really, several day cold snap or heat spell, then that would more likely be the senior center.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for all you do. It seems like a really comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Dan?
Thank you. Very interesting. Can I use my library card to check this out and take it home for a day? I can't read it on the computer. Impossible.
I would, clerk, could we do that?
I can arrange for something for
Thank
you,
you.
Dan, not to worry.
You all set, Dan? You all set? Brian, that was great. Jamie, good. It's really important. It was hard to see, so I would advise people to definitely go on the website, make the appointment with the clerk, call Brian at any time, or call one of us. This is really good. That was my big question, too, was the generator. But thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. The board will hear from HRIC Paul Pollock regarding upcoming events in the month of June. Oh, I'm sorry, back up, I messed up, Paul, I'm sorry. The board will hear Casper, right, report by Erica Bisconti of DPW on solid waste efforts. We'll get the town stuff first. Thank you, Erica, thank you for coming. Sorry,
I'm not Erica, I'm Tanya, but that's
Okay.
okay. Erica's getting the plan ready. I'm Tanya Jenkins. I'm the Safety and Sustainability Coordinator. And so the CASPER plan, in case you don't know, is the Climate Action, Sustainability, Preservation, and Resilience Plan for the town, which was adopted by the Select Board in August of '23. There's 6 focus areas, and we've been coming to different monthly meetings and presenting. We've already done energy, buildings, natural resources, transportation, and tonight you're going to hear from Erica, who is the Recycling and Energy Conservation Coordinator, and she's going to be giving updates from the solid waste focused area. And then we still have public health and safety left after that. So I'll give it over to Erica.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Erica Visconti. I am the Recycling and Energy Conservation Coordinator for the Danvers DPW. And I would just like to thank you for having me to come and speak tonight on updates to our CASPER plan. It really is thanks to you and your vision and leadership that the CASPER plan was created and has allowed us to begin making substantial growth and towards climate resiliency and sustainability. So as you may know, the CASPER plan is made up of 6 focus areas. Each focus area represents an important aspect of the community that needs to be addressed in order to decrease greenhouse gas emissions and increase climate resiliency and preparedness. The planning process identified goals and strategies and actions for each focus area. And today I'm here to provide a brief update on solid waste related action items within the Resilient Danvers Climate Action Plan. So as the town's recycling and energy conservation coordinator, I serve as the champion for solid waste focus areas with the support of our DPW director and DPW staff. So just for some quick background, I wanted to provide a few key points to note as to why the goals and action items presented in this plan are so important. Currently, the Mass DEP estimates that the state of Massachusetts produces 6 million tons of trash every year. This represents 4.5 pounds of trash per person per day. 14% of this goes to landfills, 46% to incinerators, and 40% is actually being transported out of the state. By executing the goals laid out in this plan, we can work together in Danvers to make an impact on waste diversion and working to lower these numbers. So tonight, I'll walk you through the process of the progress of 3 solid waste action items and share the impacts we're seeing in waste reduction, diversion, and program development. So the first action I'm going to be focusing on is action 2.2A, which is to determine the best way to incorporate a Save Money and Reduce Trash, or SMART program, into the new waste franchise agreement. As a first step, in September of 2023, we will launch a new standardized cart program, providing 65-gallon trash carts and 95-gallon recycling carts townwide to residents with curbside collection. This was in response to our new collection and hauling contract with Republic Services, which implemented a automated collection system. So for a little background, before this program, the trash limit to put curbside was 135 gallons per week. With the new program, it's now 65 gallons. And before, recycling was unlimited, and now there is a 95-gallon limit. So this change encouraged waste reduction by physically limiting how much trash can be placed at the curb. We are calling this a modified SMART program, as most SMART programs limit how much can be put at the curb to approximately 35 gallons per week. But when implementing this program, the DPW felt this would put a strain on residents, jumping from 135 gallons to a 35-gallon limit, which is why the 65-gallon was determined. So since implementing the program, we used 2019 as the baseline year, which was used as the baseline year for the CASPER plan. So since 2019 to calendar year 2024, which is the first calendar year that the carts were implemented in its entirety, we have seen a decrease in trash tonnage by 4.6% and an increase in recycling by 5.8%. So these results reflect the community's responsiveness to the program and indicate that we are on the right path forward to reducing disposal costs and better material recovery. The next action I'm going to focus on is action 2.1B, which is implement a residential curbside composting pilot program. We actually have an exciting update for this action item, and as of just yesterday, June 2nd, we submitted an application with Mass DEP for the Sustainable Materials Recovery Program Municipal Grant for food waste collection carts. And what this grant will do is help fund the purchase of collection carts and starter kits for residents who choose to participate in a curbside composting program. So if we are awarded, which we are keeping our fingers crossed that we are, we expect to implement this program in February 2026. Grant awardees will receive the results this fall or winter. So in order to meet our implementation goals, we will be begin planning our implementation plan prior to the grant award, so we are prepared. We're estimating this action item's around 20% complete, mostly in the planning and grant application phase. And the long-term benefits are significant. Curbside composting will divert organic waste from the trash stream and help reduce our overall tonnage and disposal costs. Right now, the Mass DEP estimates that 21% of what's being thrown in our municipal curbside trash is food waste. So this will offer an outlet for residents to help divert the food waste from our normal trash stream. And the last action item I'll be talking about today is action 2.2B, which is expand the type of waste that we collect at town drop-off events. Danvers currently right now hosts 2 zero-waste recycling events per year. At these events, we accept textiles, electronics, rigid plastics, metal, and paper for shredding. And we also hold 1 annual household hazardous waste event. Additionally, we have piloted a couple other collection events, including styrofoam collection and collecting pumpkins for composting after Halloween. In terms of an implementation timeframe, this truly is ongoing. We want to continue adding different events and items based off the needs of our residents. So currently we're exploring how to integrate some of these items more permanently into our zero waste events, and even starting other annual events if we see a need. The benefits include keeping more items out of the trash, lowering pollution, and giving residents a convenient and proper way to dispose of hard-to-manage materials. So overall, the town is making steady progress in solid waste goals under the Resilient Danvers Plan. I'm looking forward to building out future programs, especially our curbside composting program, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Well, thank you very much, Erica and Jen. Nice to see you again, too. Gardner, do you have questions?
No, I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you.
Michael?
Yes, please. The curbside plan.
Yes.
I can't imagine that's going to save us money, but
The composting?
yeah, do you think it would at least keep us at a level plane?
Yeah, so by diverting the food waste, it is heavy. Food waste tends to be one of the heaviest things that we put in our trash. So if we're able to reduce that tonnage, a pilot program is a great way to start, just to introduce this kind of program to people. And if it can become, townwide, long-term, then I do think you can see a disposal savings at the transfer station.
Is there any plan on reducing the amount of trash that we all throw out each week?
In terms of limiting how
Yeah.
much?
Yeah. is there
I don't
anything-
see that happening in the next few years, but that is something we'll probably look into down the line once a new contract has to be written again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent. Dee?
Thank you. Quick question about the curbside composting program. So if we got the grant,
Yep.
the resident will have to apply to get one of those, or the town offices will be the first?
Yeah, so it'll be for residents. Basically, residents would sign up for a subscription with whatever hauler we decide to use.
see.
We'll provide the initial cart and starter kit for the residents, and then the long-term subscription is up to the resident
Okay.
to cover. Yeah.
So the resident is the one that subscribes with the hauler. All we're providing is the starter kit and the
Yes.
the bill.
Yeah, the two programs that we're kind of basing it off of are Beverly and Salem. They have very similar programs if you want to look at what they're doing. So it would kind of be very similar to what other surrounding communities are doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for all you do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dee. Dan?
Erica, thank you for all the work you do on recycling and composting, et cetera. It's a good step forward for the town. And you use the word townwide.
So townwide in terms of residents who have current curbside collection.
Which eliminates condo complexes?
Condos and apartments. So anything over 4 units, the town does not collect.
A lot of these condo complexes, they mix their recycling with the trash.
Yes.
Is there any way that we can encourage them to do something different?
So that is one of the action items that I didn't cover today is requiring condos and apartments and also commercial buildings to recycle. But that's currently not one that we're focusing on right now.
Would a bylaw help in that?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll put
Yes.
that on the agenda, please.
Okay.
That's very important that we do that.
Yes, thank you.
The food waste is an issue, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 compost buckets in our backyard that we alternate from year to year.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife grows lovely flowers from that compost. So we don't add any food stuff to our trash.
Yep.
Easy to do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Great presentation. Let's keep our fingers crossed we get that grant.
Yes.
And I can still hear the sound of the lid closing on the backyard. And when I was a kid in Brookwood Lane, we had those buckets in the yard, in the ground. And I can still see that lid and hear it.
Do you remember the guys picking it up?
Yeah, they came with a hook. And,
Oh, you guys are old.
yeah, we are.
No, that's great. Any other questions, board members? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. All right, now let me get I picked up the wrong glasses. That takes care of that. Okay, the board will hear from HRIC's Paul Pollock regarding the upcoming events in the month of June. Paul, please go up to the podium and tell us. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Lieutenant Rob Sullivan is with me also because he's part of our planning and the events. Before I start, as chairman of the HRIC committee, I want to welcome Jill Cahill on behalf of our committee. All right, and we're looking forward. We hope you have a great term here, years and years ahead. Thank you. I'm just here to report that we have 2 major events in June, and because of the board's meeting schedule, I wanted to come today simply because the first event will be this coming Saturday. It'll be the flag raising and the party at the library. Now, we do have a potential problem with that because of weather. We're not really sure. We've never had to move the event. If it becomes such a serious problem, we will move the outdoor events over to the Maple Street Church from 1 o'clock until about 3 or 3:30. We will get out as much information as we can, but that's one of the reasons I wanted to be here, because I'm sort of talking town-wide now, so folks can hear that and know that the event will go on. Whether or not we'd really have the flag raising right in front of Town Hall, that depends on what the situation is like. So that's one thing. But prior to that event on Saturday, we were having a first flag raising event at the police station on Thursday the 5th, and that takes place at 5 o'clock. And that'll be a sort of mini celebration. I hope I don't offend the police, but we're going to raise the flag. We're going to have food, pizza, games, etc. So it's going to be an enjoyable time. Then hopefully the weather will be favorable and we can carry on Saturday. The other event in June is the celebration of Juneteenth, which is celebrated as a national holiday on June 19th, Thursday, June 19th. That would be the day we'd prefer to celebrate it, but of course, Town Hall won't be open, so we can't do that. We will celebrate it on, I believe it's Wednesday. Is it Wednesday hold on a second. I've got this right here. Tuesday, June 17th. Tuesday, June 17th at Town Hall at 2 p.m. Okay? That's basically it. If there are any questions, we'll be happy to answer. Lieutenant Sullivan, would you like to mention the details of the flag raising, any more details at the police station.
Madam Chairperson, Lieutenant Rob Sullivan. I am the department's representative to the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee. Chief Lovell and I are so excited to have the flag raising back at the police station. It's an event that David Mills started a few years ago. I remember the day he came to the police station. Pat Ambrose was the chief. David was in the front lobby of the station with a flag. And he said, would you put this up at the police station? And Pat went out and he and David put the flag up on our front lawn. We were all looking out the window wondering what was going on. Ever since then, we've built it gradually to the, not small, as Paul called it, a kickoff to Pride event. We think it's important for our officers and for the community to have the opportunity to engage with families, residents, or people just passing through Danvers for Pride it's so important to us. The other day, I was speaking to some of my colleagues about questions. If I'm not a member of the LGBTQ plus community, can I still come to Pride? Or I just don't get it, or I don't understand. Those are great questions to have. It's open to everybody. It's inclusive. And if you have questions about what Pride is, come talk to me or any of the HRAC members. We'll talk about the celebration and then the struggles that where it started from. But you don't have to be gay to come to Pride. Anybody can come, enjoy a fun day, music, giveaways, food, and celebration. One of the great things I'm able to do in my role as liaison to the HREC is attend all of their events throughout the year. I'm not Jewish, but I go to the menorah lighting. I take classes through the Lapin Foundation. And in my personal life, when I travel around the world, I visit historical sites to see the impact anti-Semitism has in the Jewish community. I'm not black, but I've had the chance to go to our MLK events for a number of years, as well as the Black Excellence celebrations. I'm not a Latino, but I have the ability to go to our Celebration event. And I'm not trans, but I've had the chance to go to our Trans Day of Visibility event put on by our Danvers High School students. In attending each of these events, the amazing people and their families that I've had the opportunity to meet, having the chance to hear sometimes great stories, great celebrations, other times to hear about the struggles that they and their families have faced. I can absolutely tell you without a doubt, it's made me not just a better person, it's made me a better police officer for the town of Danvers. I don't attend these events alone. I usually travel with my entourage. I don't have a vehicle, so I rely on the chief or the captain to drive me around usually. So they give me a ride someplace. And then the staff from my shift, they usually attend the events with me. I can tell you they're looking forward to going to Pride this year. They loved Pride last year, and none of them are gay. They had such a great time. I don't know if anybody saw it. Chief Lovell challenged us last year to kind of up our game a little bit. And instead of just walking around the event, he asked, what could we do to be more engaged with the community? So we developed a community art project. So we had a station set up where people can just draw their message for Pride and how they celebrate Pride and what it means to them. And you hang it on this board, and as the day goes on, it turns into a giant collage of people's thoughts for Pride. Now, my colleagues had such a great time doing it. They haven't stopped talking about it during the course of the year, and they're all looking forward to come back this year. And I can tell you, having the opportunity to do that makes your police department more culturally competent. People are more willing to come and talk to us, whether they're the victim of a crime or they're a witness to a crime, or they're just looking for resources. They see us actively engaged within the communities, even if we don't belong to those communities. They might feel more comfortable to come and speak to us. I've had that personal experience as a former investigator. So it's hugely important for us to keep up this good work. And I'm happy that they haven't kicked me off the committee yet. They're stuck with me, is what I usually tell them. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Connor, do you have any questions?
I'm not done yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
I apologize.
that's fine.
you'll never hear from me again talking about any of our events. He's the guy. He did a great job. By the way, David Mills is going to be the Grand Marshal. And I will be fortunate. I'm the one that's going to drive him on our little walk down to the library if the weather's. Thank you very much, Rob, but you just got another job. If you have
Thank
any
you.
questions.
Yeah, no, thank you. Gardner, do you have any
No,
questions?
thank you very much for the flyer. It provides a lot of good details and very supportive of people who just want to live their own authentic lives. And if we have to wonder why we have to do this, just look at some of the online comments, and you'll see that it's still a struggle. People aren't looking for more, they're looking for equal, and I support that. Thank you.
Michael?
Thank you, Rob, for your personal input on that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Dee?
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Lieutenant. Obviously, as a former chair of the HRC, it's always a good thing to see you all and a few friends here. I see Karen, Jorge, and who am I missing? Another HRC member here? Okay.
Gabrielle
Lieutenant
is here.
Rob? Gabrielle is
Yeah,
the
she's one of our volunteers.
So thanks to all the volunteers and the subcommittees that are putting these events together. So thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Dan?
Thank you. I took David up on his offer of a free flag, and I put it up yesterday.
Great. I think that's it for us. I do have one other question, but I think you'd overrule me, so I'll wait.
No,
till-
that's no.
Oh, okay.
free.
No, it's not. It's nothing to do with the events, though. So I just want. We always have a liaison for HRIC from the select board.
Yes.
So when you folks are ready, we'd love to have one of your select board members.
Absolutely. And
Okay?
we're going to go over that next meeting.
Well, thanks a lot.
Everybody's going to have their assignments, and they're going to pick.
Oh,
So
great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you for what you do. Thank you, Lieutenant and Paul. And like you said, it's a good event. It's posted, and everybody's welcome.
Everybody's invited.
That's right. Thank you. All right. The board will consider the application of Rose and Gilligan Downey Cider House for a one-day malt and wine license at Endicott Park, 57 Forest Street, the Pavilion, on Friday, June 13, 2025, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for a company field day event. Madam Clerk, is the paperwork in order?
The paperwork is in order. Thank you.
And who is here to speak on behalf of this?
Hi, I'm Roisin Gilligan.
Hi,
Thanks for
thank
having
you.
us.
Hi. Can you tell us about it?
Sure, yeah. We work for Downey's Cider House. We're out of East Boston. We do what we call our company day every single year. This will be the first year that we are branching away from our usual choice, which is a Thompson Island. We just have a lot less people this year, so we decided to switch it up. One of our staff members is a huge fan of Endicott Park, as am I. I grew up in Peabody. So thought it would be a great spot for us. It's a little bit more low-key, a lot of team building. We're going to serve some wine and beer. I'm tip certified. We have tip certified bartenders. We have crowd control certification as well. So, yeah.
Excellent. Gardner, do you have any questions?
No, you anticipated my normal questions, so I'm all set. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you,
I do this
Gardner.
a lot.
Mike?
Thank you. Has Downey Cider already worked in Danvers?
We've never, no, this will be the first time.
The first time?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you got all the lowdown, all the info, you got
Yeah,
the booklet and all
for
that.
sure.
So, all right, thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
It's a good day.
Thank you. Dee?
Thank you. Well, Endicott Park definitely better than Thompson Island.
Yeah.
That's an
I agree,
upgrade.
definitely,
So,
for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Dan?
No questions.
Thank you so much.
Do I have a motion?
I move we accept the application as presented.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. A public hearing will be held on the application of Ashbury Danvers Chevrolet LLC, DBA Herb Chambers Chevrolet of Danvers, 90 Andover Street, Danvers, Devon Body, Counsel and David W. Holt, President, CEO, for a transfer of a Class 1 dealer license for that location. Madam Clerk, is all the paperwork in order?
The paperwork is in order.
Okay.
I do have one comment on the application. We generally reach out to some of the departments to see if they have any issues or concerns. at this location on 114, not necessarily with these car dealers, but there have been reports of car dealers getting trailers to offload cars in the center turn lane on 114. So we would like to let it be known that you cannot offload cars on 114 in the center turn lane. It would be much better if you pull into the car dealer locations.
Absolutely. And good evening, everyone. My name is Devin Bodie. I'm counsel for Asbury Automotive Group. Asbury Automotive Group is going to be purchasing the Herb Chambers dealerships in town. There's two, so I'll start first with the Chevrolet dealership. With respect to what Kathy just said, we'll make sure that there's compliance with the delivery obligations, and we'll have anybody reach out to the delivery agents. And to the extent that there are any problems, I do recommend that the town reaches out to the management at the dealerships. It will be staying the same. For all intensive purposes, nobody will know that this dealership has changed ownership. The DBA will be exactly the same. The staff will remain the same. The management will remain the same. So this is just an asset sale that's going to be occurring at the end of this month.
Excellent. All right. So, Gardner, do you have any questions?
No, a simple ownership transfer.
She'll ask
No.
questions after.
Okay.
Public
And
and
Mike?
Yep.
Yes, please. Kathy stole one of my questions. But two things, they're just kind of standard items, and you're just here, so I apologize.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to beat up on you.
That's okay.
Can you pass along that when the people are using the cars with the dealer plates, that they attach the plate correctly?
Absolutely. Is there
Just
something
whip it in the
specific
back
that you're
window.
referring to?
No, it's a general statement.
Okay.
It's not your particular,
Absolutely.
it's just a general statement. And also another general statement. Can you ask that they drive properly with that dealer plate on the back car?
I will ask. I cannot make any guarantees with respect to that.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Dee?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Dan?
The big thing was the offloading of the cars. It's been going on for a number of years.
Yes.
So be appreciated if you attend to
Absolutely.
that.
I will relay that message to the Asbury owners. And again, I'll reiterate that to the management that's currently in place. Obviously, the cars are delivered by a third-party delivery.
Understood.
So to the extent that any problems do come up down the line, anybody's welcome to contact me, and I can relay the message, but please contact the dealership to the extent that it does continue to occur, and that's unknown by anybody.
Very good. Thank you. All set, Madam Chair?
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Does anybody in the audience have any comments?
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Motion to accept the application as presented?
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome. I believe I'm up on the
Yep,
next one.
yep, for that one. All right, so we will go on to, a public hearing will be held on the application of Ashbury Danvers CDJRF LLC, DBA Herb Chambers, Chrysler Dodge, Jeep Ram, Fiat Danvers, 107 Andover Street, Danvers. Devin Bodie, counsel, and David Holt, president, CEO, for a transfer of a Class 1 dealer license at that location. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm requesting the exact same thing here, issuance of a license transfer for a Class 1 motor vehicle dealership. This is for the Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat dealership at 107 Andover Street, and exactly the same, just a transfer so we can continue business as usual.
Okay, Madam Clerk, is all the paperwork in order?
Paperwork is in order. The car carrier comment is the same.
Yes.
So we will relay those
Excellent.
messages.
Thank you. All right, so this is a public hearing. Does it, do we have any questions on this one, Gardner?
No.
Mike?
No, thank you.
Dee?
No.
Dan?
Nope.
Okay, so this is a public hearing. Anyone in the audience have any comments? Do I have a motion?
I move we close the public comments?
Yeah. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I move that we approve the application as presented.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's it. Thank you. Thank you very
Great.
much.
Thank you so much.
All right, the next one will be, a public hearing will be held on the application of Maz Grand Auto LLC, DBA Maz Grand Auto 2, Electronics at Danvers. Nicholas McElwa, owner for a Class 2 dealer license at that location. License for wholesale only, no cars on site. Madam Clerk, is the paperwork in order?
The paperwork is in order.
And can you just explain to people maybe what the difference between the Class 1 and the Class 2?
A Class 2 dealer's license is for used cars only.
Okay.
In this particular case, the applicant is not going to have cars on site. He's doing it as a wholesale, online, that kind of thing, but he's not going to store any cars on site. This is more of just an office location for him, and he can explain his business model to you if you like.
Thank you, welcome.
Hi, my name is Nicholas McElwa. I'm the owner of Maz Transportation Services LLC and Maz Grand Auto LLC at the 2 Electronics of Danvers. At the location, we use only for office purpose. We're applying for application to second Class 2 dealer license only for wholesaler only, and we use the office only for the office purpose. We already established a relationship with the other dealers and other transportation companies, so we only apply for wholesale and selling only for wholesale purpose.
Excellent, thank you, thank you. Board members, Gardner, do you have any questions?
So the cars that you do sell, they remain with the dealers until they're picked up by the transportation company and delivered to whomever?
Correct.
Okay, all right. I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you, Gardner. Mike?
No, I had the same question. Thank you.
ND?
No questions. Congratulations on your new business.
Thank you. Dan?
All set, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Does anyone in the audience have any comments? Okay,
Motion to close the public hearing.
thank you. Do I have a
Second.
second? Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to
Will?
accept the
Yeah.
application as presented?
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. The next on the agenda is item 10 has been withdrawn. Madam Clerk, would you?
This was an all-alcohol liquor license at the Larkin Center. The applicant has withdrawn that application, so we don't need to hear that tonight.
Okay. All right. Next, we'll have a continued public hearing from the May 8th, 2025 meeting will be held under Chapter 140, Section 181 of the General Laws on Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025, 6:30 p.m. in the Daniel J. Toomey Hearing Room, Town Hall, Danvers, Mass., on the application of the Larkin Event Center, LLC, DBA The Larkin, 562 Maple Street, Danvers, M.A., Ryan Monks, manager, for a 7-day entertainment license at that location.
I just have a comment on that. We're going to amend the application to include a Sunday provision to incorporate the 7-day piece of the entertainment license, which is covered under Chapter 136, Section 4, so that we can hear all of the license days at the same time.
Excellent.
Hi, thank you for having us tonight. As you know, last week we did actually rescind the application for an alcohol license. We did that after our community meeting and after thoughtful discussions with our team. We believe that it was in the best interest of what the true purpose of the Larkin was, which is a training facility for our culinary arts students, not only in our secondary program, but also in our post-secondary program through the apprenticeship program. It is also to be served as an agricultural museum. We will be hosting events in that location, and we are seeking an entertainment license, primarily for thank you for those that were able to see the Larkin last week. We appreciate that, but as you see, it's not a very large event space where you would have a large band. There may be a 3 to 4 piece band or a DJ or a string quartet, or some musician with a guitar, acoustical musician. So so that's it, I guess. I'll open it up to questions that you may have.
Thank you, Heidi. Gardner?
Thank you. So I had an opportunity to speak with some neighbors, and I have some questions that fall into two categories. The first is the category of public convenience, public safety, neighborhood impact. And the other, I'll get to in a moment. Do you have, and this is, the comments that I heard range from very historical comments. I'm not basing my questions on the past events, but I do take into account the response that I've heard. And so the question I have, do you have a system in place for tracking the neighbor issues that you get now, or will you, as issues or complaints, as well as your response? Do you, someone calls you, do you track it somehow?
We do. I actually print out every email that is sent to me with my response as well as their response. It is put in a folder in my desk just so that we can track them. We do review them during our leadership team meeting. I meet with Mr. Monks weekly to review any happenings that have happened on campus.
Okay. Thank you. How will a neighbor be able to reach the manager in charge immediately during an event? It's Friday afternoon, it's 7 o'clock at night, and a neighbor has a concern about the noise volume. Wants to reach something, doesn't want to reach an answering machine, doesn't want to wait until Monday to get some sort of response. What are your plans for having them able to get to someone
We did.
during the
Thank you. We did provide Ryan Monk's personal cell phone number last week. Yes.
You did, but will that be published someplace for the neighbors to look at, to find, to, you get, I've got Ryan's card, thank you very
Sure.
much, but if a neighbor who is uninitiated or hadn't heard this meeting were to have that situation, how would they know where to go? I mean, I would normally think they'd go up on the website, the school website, and try to find a contact or a name or
Sure.
whatever it is.
So
How do
we
you
will not
intend
be
that to happen?
posting a personal cell phone on our website. However, we use a Zoom app for our phone calls. So any call to my office, I get directly to my personal cell phone through the Zoom app. And so we will certainly provide Ryan's work number that will, again, be provided. It will ring directly to his cell phone, and we can certainly post that on the website.
And is it expected that Ryan will be at every event?
He is not at every event. There's typically a site supervisor, as in any other rental property or any other rental business that we do as part of the school functions.
So then a neighbor would call Ryan, and he would then in turn call the person, whoever's at the location at that point.
That is correct.
Okay. How will you monitor the parking lot during these events? I know that you have a staff person on during the school year monitoring the parking lot, but this parking lot abuts residents' homes. How do you plan on monitoring the parking lot, especially, if it's a party? I know you're not going to have alcohol now, okay? But it doesn't mean that things can't get a little loud or rowdy. And how will you address the people who are using the parking lots?
Sure. So the Larkin we did design, which also is in your packet, there is a 40 spot parking, not including the ADA compliant 2 spots, so 44 in total. That was actually placed just last summer as we demolished one of the buildings in 2020, the McNamara O'Shea building. That provided us an opportunity to add parking to our facility, and that's 44 spots. In the south lot, which I think you are referring to, there's 185 spots, which certainly is a very large area for the total capacity of our campus, or of our Larkin Event Center is actually 120 with round tables. And in addition to that, if you go around, there's a pathway that goes to the Smith Hall that also has additional parking.
And I appreciate that you have ample parking. The question is, how will you manage or monitor the parking situation? Do you plan on having someone there? I think the last time you were here, you said you'd have someone there like you do now, but I want to know, was that at every event?
Sure. So we do have a maintenance team as well as a site supervisor. I guess it would depend on the number of attendees. If it's a party of 20, I don't know that we need a parking attendant. But if it is a large event, I would imagine that we would have one of our maintenance facility. We also have signage In addition to that, we increased the width of our roadway and that back access road so that it is a two-way capacity.
I had the opportunity to visit, and I parked in that upper parking lot, and thank you for the opportunity to visit. It's a beautiful building, inside and out.
Thank you.
So my other concern is about non-school sponsored events. That is, the applications being sought for educational purposes, you said that's the true purpose. And your LLC incorporation says it's to operate agricultural museum, learning center, and hospitality training. And I fully embrace that. I want the students to learn in a real-world environment, to cook for people, to serve people, to have that real-world experience. If the students aren't preparing the food, if they aren't getting that learning experience, when do you anticipate using Vinwood for catering? When do you expect you'll be using outside catering for your events if the intent of this is for educational purposes?
Sure. So what we do by contract, meaning the teacher's contract, we post positions that are outside of the contractual time. Our teachers earn $50 per hour based on the contract. We have 5 chef instructors. We also have 2 food service directors that have extreme experience as it relates to banquet and catering. One is an executive chef or a former executive chef. And so if all of those individuals are not available to work is when we would look at using an outside caterer.
Would you use them for the management of the students, or would you just use a caterer independent, without student participation?
I think it would be both. Again, we're looking at students that are working outside of their school hours, and if that is the case, and if there is not an adult program, for example, we do have a culinary arts adult program happening this summer at the school, so there may be events that are run by those students. However, if it is during the summertime and we don't have a group of students that are able to work for that event, there may be servers that we would need to hire through whether it's Vinward or another caterer.
So I think I expressed last time, and you got some questions from me directly, or Ryan did, and I'm sure he passed them on because I think you responded. I do have a concern about the facility being used for events that are not associated with the school itself and not catered by the students or staff. They appear to be commercial in use. And my concern is, if the function was educational, recreational, social, civic, or philanthropic, that benefited the educational goal you're driving at, students serving, students cooking, all for it, fully embrace it. But if you're hosting private events, such as a wedding or a bridal shower or a corporate retreat or whatever it is that is not related to the educational portion of the school, how does that benefit the educational program? I'm a taxpayer. I helped pay for the school. Happy to do so.
Sure.
The equipment, the building, the land are private businesses that provide, convention services or hall rentals, have to pay for their own buildings, their own land, their own taxes, their own insurance, their own everything, which if you're providing private, non-school related rentals, how is that not an advantage to you that they can't benefit from?
Thank you. Most schools actually do rent out whether it's their classrooms, their cafeteria, their auditorium, to outside events for a rental fee. If you were to look in our budget book, you would see our revenues for the school year, and those revenues offset the cost directly to our communities. So it does benefit it indirectly because the revenues help support the school district, but then also offset the assessment that we bill out to our 17-member communities.
And I appreciate that it would, that the income you do get would offset. But the question is I represent not only the citizens of the town, but also the businesses of the town.
Sure.
And you would be offering pricing at a price they can't match.
I would beg to differ because
Okay.
our teachers are getting $50 an hour to be a chef instructor. That is significantly more than what a line cook is making at a restaurant. We have to then take that cost and give it back to the customer. So sometimes it doesn't even work out that it would be more affordable to come to our school for an event because of that cost factor. We also don't get large discounts as it relates to food. You know, if you're working with a food purveyor and you're a large, busy event center like the Danvers Port Yacht Club, they're going to get better pricing for food and services than we are.
But don't you
based
get
on volume.
contract-based preferential pricing that you negotiate through the school?
Yes, but it would not be equivalent because it is all done on volume. So your special pricing is done on volume.
Okay. All right, and currently the school pays no taxes to the town because it's a school, educational purposes. But as soon as you start engaging in commercial activities, that brings that into question. And town council has suggested you may want to talk to the assessor's office. We've had that happen in town before. Mass General Hospital is one of a nonprofit, but they were using their facilities for non-medical use, and they engaged in a pilot program with the town. We had a church on 114 that started doing commercial wood deliveries, unrelated to the religious aspects of the church, and they were prohibited from doing that. So I'm just, I have an eye towards the fact that you're going to be offering commercial-based, non-educational-based rentals, and what the impact of that will be. Those are my questions. I will have some, I prepared some conditions that I'd like, based on the neighbors' concerns that I heard last time. I have some conditions, and when it comes time, I'd like to share them with the board and have us discuss whether they're appropriate or not. But those are for me now.
Yeah, no, that's good, Gunnar. Mike?
Yeah, thank you, Gardner. You hit a lot of points I wanted to ask. I was at the building last week. It was really, really nice. Yeah,
Thank you.
everybody's done a good job up there, and thank you. If you hire a subcontractor to run a wedding, whatnot, they're going to be looking for a liquor license, correct?
Yes, if they don't already have one.
So we'll be serving liquor out of there.
If there is an outside contractor.
Right. But how do we deal with the 500-foot rule? We're not supposed to have liquor within 500 feet of a school. I'm not,
Sure,
I need some clarity.
Sure, I believe there is a regulation, if it is approved by the school committee, it can go in front of a board for approval.
Okay. And to kind of go back onto a couple of the Gardner's questions, other places in town that hold events have somebody in the parking lot or a police officer to deal with the traffic situation? Because if you run an event, they're all going to be emptying out at the same time, which is going to be difficult on the neighbors. And if it's a private event that you're going to host and now we're going to be having alcohol on the property, that's a further concern. So I think you have to have somebody out there for that, as well as security in the parking lot. So along with that rule, I mean, we're talking, this is a high school, not a college, so that's a big concern for the alcohol, even, you know, though you say that you think there's a,
I'll have to look for it, but I can send it to you
Yeah.
when I find it.
Madam Chairman, can I interject here
Absolutely, Dan.
to answer Mike's question to a degree?
yeah,
Chapter 272, Section 40A, Heidi, allows for if a school committee authorize a public nonprofit using a public school building with permission during non-school hours to possess and sell alcohol, provided they've been properly licensed. That would be us. So it is allowed in schools under that chapter.
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dan. Mike, go ahead.
And then I think the contact person has to be something that anybody could find pretty quickly. If there's a noise problem, we want to make sure that anybody can just find that easily, and make sure that the police and the fire department have that same number. Maybe you have to get another phone that you can publish that number. Let's see.
The fire and police have 4 of our cell phone numbers, so they're able to access us pretty quickly.
Okay. And you stated that the students would be cooking, serving, and, learning how to manage on most of the events?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, except for private events?
Excuse me, can I have a point of order?
Sure.
The applicant is an LLC that's privately held. It's not Essex Tech School. So we keep conflating students with a private LLC. This is a private application for a privately held LLC, not Essex Tech. Whether the individuals work at Essex Tech should be relevant. Thank you.
Thank you. That's exactly what I'm getting at. So, thank you. Okay, I think so far we've covered everything I wanted to ask. There's still going to be a lot more, I'm sure, but thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Dee?
Thank you, Heidi. So over the past few weeks, there were a lot of talk and concerns from residents about this application. I just have some clarification questions. By the way, I appreciate the school withdrawing the liquor license. I think.
Yeah.
Again, it was not the school. It was a private LLC, known as the Larkin, and doing business as the Larkin 462 Maple Street. Essex Tech is not the applicant for the liquor license that was withdrawn or this current entertainment license. It is a private LLC. I just want to make sure that that's perfectly clear who the applicant for this license is. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate the liquor license being withdrawn. I think that step really helped address one of the significant concerns that I had. And I come at this not only as a select board member, but as a neighbor of the school. When we talk about entertainment license, to you, Madam Chair, I just want to understand exactly what that entails. Is it, I mean, I'm sure we can't have all the scenarios, but what does it entail, entertainment? What does that come with? What does it mean?
Can you explain that, Heidi?
So it could be a guest lecturer, it could be an acoustic guitar player, could be a dance where there's a DJ, it could be a band. I'm not sure if I covered everything, but those are examples.
Okay. And to rent the space, and I think Select Board Member Gardner alluded to that, it's a public school. Will the 17-member state have access to use the Larkins?
Of course, we're actually holding the Wayne Marquee event in June at the Larkin.
Okay. And I have similar questions that Gardner had, so I'll wait for my other select board member. I have some conditions as well. I'm all set for now.
Okay, thank you, Dee. Dan?
Thank you. How many people can be in the Larkin Center for an event?
So it would depend on the event, but it's 120 if there were round tables, which are 62 or 60-inch rounds.
But your occupancy permit allows for up to 120 people?
No, it's more than that because if it's a theater style where there's just chairs because there's a meeting, it's approximately 220.
Okay, thank you. You're looking for an entertainment license for interior only or exterior as well?
Interior.
Thank you. And Madam Chairman, to you, I just heard about a dance. That would be covered under Chapter 140, Section 183A, and that's not advertised. Dances are covered by that, concert dances, et cetera. We're hearing this on other chapters. We added Chapter 136, Section 4 today to allow Sundays. So have we done our due diligence with the proper state laws? And who's responsible for advertising the state laws? Mass general laws, I'll call them. Heidi, was
Sure.
there an initial vote by the school committee to allow the Larkin LLC to incorporate, if that's the right word, and use the property?
Yes, so the Larkin LLC is a deregulated LLC, which means that it is attached to a nonprofit, which is the Catherine Larkin Event Center.
Did the school committee,
Yes,
Vote.
unanimously,
the full board, not just a committee, subcommittee?
the full board.
Thank
I would
you.
have to I would have to check the meeting minutes to see if we had all 20 members.
Do you need all 20 or just
You
the-
need 11 out of the 20.
Need 11.
Two-thirds vote.
Madam Chairman, I'd appreciate if we can follow up and get that information that there was indeed a school committee vote to authorize that.
Will do.
So I do have some concerns with the proper advertising to cover all the various chapters that's involved in this endeavor. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm not adding any conditions as such until I know that we're going down the right road.
Sure. So I guess when I said dance, I was talking about a school dance, and I don't know if that chapter is included in it, but a school dance we
Heidi,
hold
I'm a
often.
licensed real estate broker, prohibited to practice law, so I
Sure.
can't make any judgments.
Okay. No worries.
I can only read.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for now.
Okay, I have some questions. Hi Heidi. Hi Ryan. Hi Bonnie. Thank you very much. You know, as you know, we really do like the school and we enjoy the partnership with Essex Tech. You know, please understand that we all are getting a lot of calls and a lot of emails. You answered the question, I have quite a few. Is this part of your culinary program?
Yes.
Okay. And if you could just explain, how does this benefit the school and the proceeds that you are making from the revenue, is that being reinvested back into the school? And if it is, how is it being reinvested?
Sure. So the intention is that it would be reinvested into the school, primarily at the Larkin, where there would be ongoing maintenance, costs of utilities and services, water, et cetera.
Okay, great, thank you. So, excuse my ignorance, but if the school has a culinary program, why would you bring in an outside caterer? How would the students integrate this if you were to bring a caterer in with this, with the program?
Sure. The only time that we would bring in outside caterers is if our own students or staff could not accommodate the event.
Okay, great. And as we know, and Dan, I think we've gone there with Kiwanis, the Bistro restaurant, an absolutely remarkable restaurant. If no one's ever attended, call for a reservation, they're good. Like the Bistro, the students cook and the teachers are there. Will this, like the Bistro, will this be like the model for the Larkin Center too? Like you did say, the teachers, students will cook themselves there?
That's correct, under the direction of the chef instructor.
Okay, good. Okay, that's good. And let's see, and then again, as Gardner and the other board members, the traffic's, how it's going to be controlled. On Route 62, is there going to be security, which our police detail, on site, checking, making sure, maybe I'm dating myself, but tailgating in the parking lots or anything like that. We want to make sure that that doesn't happen. And how are you going to regulate the sound, within, the sound system within the Larkin Center?
Sure. So the music would be contained inside. We cannot open any windows due to our HVAC system because it's a brand-new HVAC system that is computerized, and it will set off certain alarms. And so that is one area. We did situate the entrance and the patio facing Smith Hall, and that was done purposely, not just for sound, but in order to see beautiful historic Smith Hall. So there is no neighbors facing out where the entrance is, and across the street is our farm stand.
Okay, great. And I think that's all my questions for right now. And
Can I ask some follow-up before
Yes,
you go to the
follow-up.
public?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you, Gardner.
So I think we're not well, some of us are real estate experts, but we're not corporation experts. We're not in.
Sure.
And I looked up your corporation papers, and they're limited in what you need to fill out and what you did. And I think what we're having is a little bit of an issue understanding the relationship of the LLC to the school, and that the LLC is there to protect, and there is a relationship between you're saying the basis of the LLC is furthering the curriculum and the education of the students of the school. So whether it's day students or night students, it's to further there is a relationship.
Yes.
And I appreciate the points of order, but there is a relationship between the two. My concern with the LLC is by creating this LLC, you move outside of state law that the school has to adhere to. For example, if you're going to engage Vinwood or you're going to set a private vendor, you don't have to go through the normal procurement laws. If you're purchasing anything, you don't have to go through procurement laws. I think there's also a history of LLCs at the school property, and I'm referring to the rink.
Not sure.
The rink, where the rink is an LLC, the ice rink didn't get the access or the benefits that were promoted for the students' purposes because of the proximity.
Mm-hmm.
And then that LLC then went and subletted in a manner that did not benefit the school either. So I think there are people who are a little gun-shy about
Sure.
the LLCs and the relationships between the two. So I'd really like clarity on what this LLC means to the school, what you are required by state law to do as a school and versus what you're required by the LLC to do. You're attaching it to a nonprofit. We're hearing tonight, the LLC itself is not a nonprofit. You're attached to a nonprofit. So when you say that, I don't know if that extends the nonprofitability to that LLC or not. I'm not sure. And are you going to have independent accounting, independent audits for the income? Is the finances completely and solely with the LLC, for which then they will turn over money to the school? This is a complex relationship, and I tried diving into it with our town council, and he said it's a complex relationship. So we're trying to understand before we
Sure.
go ahead and do this.
Well, I would agree with that statement. That is complex for sure, because we too are working with our school council as well as our insurance company, which is the Leslie Ray Insurance Company, and we've been working with them for a number of years as our insurance agent. It was recommended to do it this way. However, it is attached to the school. So unlike the ice rink, that rink, all of our land and property is owned by the state. So Essex Tech does not own any of the land. We have the use of the buildings. It's a 99-year lease. And so we have the use of the buildings, but we are responsible for maintaining the buildings, the location, the space. Anything that we build there must have some sort of educational value to the system. So that accounting system, again, we're working with our local school attorney as well as our auditors. So we pay for an independent audit every school year. So we are working with our auditors in order to make sure that we do this correctly as it relates to the books. Those books are not going to be held outside of Essex Tech. So they will be held in the business office, by which our school business administrator oversees.
But are you compelled, as the Larkin LLC, as a relationship to the school, to follow all state laws regarding procurement?
Yes.
If you engage Vinwood, you've engaged Vinwood, and I'm using them because they're the people you had on other applications. If you engage them as the exclusive, have you gone through an RFP process?
They are not the exclusive caterer. We do not have a signed contract with
Okay,
them.
but do you go through an RFP process when you go to engage people, engage outside contractors?
There's a threshold of $10,000
Okay.
before you need to actually go out and do an RFP or get quote. Actually, it's getting quotes for that.
Okay, and would that be per event?
It's cumulatively.
Okay, great.
From July 1 to June 30th.
Perfect. That's a great answer, and I appreciate the answer. I don't I don't know, so I appreciate that answer. That's helpful.
Sure.
In my deliberation. And we talked about the fact that, yes, some of these events are going to want liquor licenses, and I fully expect you to be back to us for one-day liquor license on a regular basis. But you said that the school committee has to vote on that. Do they have to vote on it per event?
Yes.
Okay. So that's important, too. That's an important control that helps me make a decision as well. So no matter what the event is, they have to say, yes, go ahead and go to the select board and ask for event X on date Y.
That is correct.
Oh, that's helpful, thank you. That's a good checkpoint. I appreciate that. Those are most of my questions right now, and I'd like to hear from the public.
Hey, Mike?
Can I just make
You
one
wanna?
more?
Do you have any more?
Just a concern is that the relationship between the school and the LLC, and I'm sure people are thinking this, that you could have 5 school events where the students work and then 125 private events, which defeats the whole process here. So I'm sure people are concerned that that's could take place. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Okay, Dean, do you have anything else that you want to say? Not right now, Dan?
A question for clarification.
Yeah.
One-day liquor licenses, is there a limit per year?
Madam Clerk?
An individual can have 30 one-day liquor licenses per calendar year.
Did you know that?
We do not anticipate having more than 30 events per year with alcohol. That is not our priority. Our priority is to serve students during the day, on the weekends.
Serve students, excuse me?
We serve students, meaning we are in the service industry, meaning we're educators.
Say things literally.
We're public servants. So I'm a public servant to the school district. And so with that, the priority is that. There wouldn't be any need for any sort of a liquor license during the school day, during school hours. We are not
Well, you'd
going
never
to
get
be.
one.
Well, we wouldn't do it anyway. So, but evening events or chamber mixers, we've done chamber mixers before, right in the bistro where we were able to get a one-day liquor license, but we do not anticipate any more than that. We're not really looking for that. It's not the purpose of the lock-in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so does anybody in the public have any questions or comments? Would you go up to the microphone? Please state your name. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Select Board. My name is Kelly DeYoung-Dahl, and I'm a resident of Danvers at 592 Maple Street. I thank you for putting so much due diligence into the questions that you asked for this. I think it's crucially important that we really just take a step back and look at what exactly is being asked. So we're looking for a privately held LLC to be able to have events at a publicly funded building with third-party catering. When we say it's for the students, I have some ideas of how we can actually serve those students that were not brought up. How about a few dozen blood drives? How about having the residents of Hogan and their families come over and we give them the most amazing luncheon? We can have the health assisting students come over and help. We can have culinary arts. We can even have cosmetology students come and help. There are so many things that beautiful building, and I do commend the people from Essex Tech. It is a beautiful building. And, I think it's also a beautiful testament to the woman it's named for. She's a nurse, I'm a nurse, I get it, it's amazing. Just her legacy should be honored. But I think that needs to be done in the classroom for students, not for private profit, not for companies to come in with a liquor license, not for people to be vaping in front of other people's homes. And the bottom line is this is a residential neighborhood. They do not have the commercial zoning to open a commercial event center. There is no oversight. If we give them a liquor license, I take that back, an entertainment license for 365 days a year, how many events a day? And we'll say, oh, we're never going to do that. It's a blank check. And when you give a blank check, you remove any kind of objectivity with regards to accountability and oversight. And I think that we need to start using this space appropriately for the town. The Council of Aging, Veterans Affairs, we could have hundreds of people using that space, and we could do it so well. and so amazing so that was enriching the neighborhood, not just necessarily playing Macarena at 9:55 at night. I'm here not just for myself, my own family, but I'm here for many of my neighbors. Many of my neighbors are elders, and they couldn't be here this evening. Many of my neighbors work shift work. They have to go to work at 11. They're sleeping now. Many of my neighbors have young children, some of whom attend Essex Tech. They're afraid to speak up. So this is first and foremost a beautiful residential neighborhood, which happens to have a beautiful school in the center of it. But the school is encroaching into that residential neighborhood with an expectation that, oh, well, since it's for the kids, we're going to allow you to have, a third party come in and use a publicly funded space. One of the question and concern I truly have is transparency. I was not aware of any of this until just recently. I spoke to a state representative of this local area just 2 weeks ago, and they were completely in the dark to any of this. They did not know that this was going forth. They said, well, they can't do that. And we kind of just left it there. I want to know, do the families of the Essex Tech students know that this may be happening, that there'll be events on Sundays now even? I didn't know about that. That was slipped in this evening. When their children are coming home from the volleyball game, are they going to have to worry about alcohol being served? I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it, and I hope you can see that. We need to slow down. We need to take this back a step. We need to do a few blood drives. We need to invite the residents of Hogan over. We need to invite Council of Aging, the Veterans Affairs. We need to use this building for the community, not for a third party, LLC, bringing in different caterers for money. And I'm not sure, again, I don't know corporate law at all, but are they, required to have open meeting laws? Are they, accountable to that? There's no accountability, and we need to keep that accountability. So I ask of you to please vote no. If there's a need for an entertainment license, they can come forth and do a one-day license. That's a great place to start. I look forward to the building being used for the children. But this idea that it's going to be the culinary arts students is not really feasible. Children have other jobs, or students have other jobs on the weekends. Sunday mornings, there's not going to be any students on that campus. June, July, and August, we don't need to be having third parties come in. There'll be no students on that campus. So I thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate you all. And I want to also just welcome the new town manager. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any comments? Bill?
Again, Bill Bradstreet, town meeting member, precinct 1. I know the request for the liquor license was withdrawn.
Yes.
However, when other events are scheduled there, some people like to preemptively imbibe before they show up. Is there a program in place, or how do you deal with people who can't exist without consuming liquor? Again, before they might show up at the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to get up and speak? Kevin? Please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kevin Barrich. So I guess the thing I don't quite understand, I understand some institutions, schools, churches have some kind of blanket exemptions from our zoning laws. It seems like we're extending the exemption that Essex Tech enjoys to the Larkin Event Center LLC by even considering an event space somewhere where it may not have a right to exist at all, which is in an R3 zoned neighborhood. So I understand there's a finer point there about that exemption, when it applies and when it doesn't. I don't understand it exactly when it does or when it doesn't, and I think if the board isn't quite sure either, you should probably seek clarification on that before granting a private entity, an LLC, a license to do something that they may not be allowed by our zoning to do in the spot they're asking to do it. The school could host an event, a graduation, a whatever, right? We understand that they're largely exempt from zoning laws, but I'm not sure that the LLC gets the same exemption, and that's who's asking for a permit, for a license to have entertainment. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to get up and speak? Please.
Hi, my name is Barbara Santarella. I live on Preston Street. As far as I'm concerned, withdrawing the liquor license really makes no difference. They're still going to bring traffic and noise to our neighborhood, potentially 365 days a year. We already, I've lived in town on Preston Street for almost 40 years, and I'm recently retired, and I look forward to sleeping. I always got up early. Well, I can't do that because the cars come down my street at 7:15 in the morning. Yeah, it's only for half an hour, but it wakes me up every day. Now I have to worry about noise and traffic till 11 o'clock at night. It's just not fair. It's just not fair. I'm looking forward, oh God, school is over in a few weeks. I just can't wait for it to be done. Now I'm going to have to worry about events all summer long. It's not fair to the neighborhood. It's just not fair. We talked last time, many residents got up here and complained about what bad neighbors Essex Tech is. The buses took years, the parking took years, the snow never got removed, the town had to do it. The one that I was thinking of the other day when I was walking is the woman that lives at 7 Preston Street. She's 90 years old, and her bedroom is 30 feet from the parking lot on Preston Street. And you know, she must have complained because they put some trees in there to screen, I guess, a visual and auditory screen. And I remember when I was at a school committee meeting about the parking a couple years ago, and the superintendent complaining, oh, I bought the trees, I bought the fence for the ballpark, which that's not high enough either. You know what they bought for trees? They were 2 feet high. Now, 3 or 4 years later, those trees are my height, and I'm 5 feet tall. They don't even block her window yet. So hopefully, by the time that woman is 100, those trees will block. There'll be a visual and auditory screen for that parking lot. She doesn't need an alarm clock. She knows when to get up every day because the cars come and wake her up. This is the kind of neighbor that we're dealing with. And please don't give them a blank check. And I also wonder how truthful is this whole situation, okay? John Donlin at the last meeting mentioned that he took school committee notes from the website stating how this is a for-profit venture. The school wants to make money on it. And he sent you those notes, right? What did the school do? They took that verbiage off the website. Okay? So are they really being honest here? I don't think so. And you, 5 members sitting here, are the people with the power. Please do not give these people a blank check. I am so happy with all your questions tonight, the points that you made. It's clear that you guys are really listening to the neighbors. And I think that we just bear just a disproportionate, not just us, the local neighbors, but the whole town for this school that serves 17 communities. So listen to the people up here tonight, and some really good points were made. And I ask you to vote it down. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to get up?
Hi, good evening. I'm Sue Ann Patton. I live at 531 Maple Street. I've been there for 40 years. I'm old now. So, you know, it's kind of unfortunate that we really don't seem to have a good relationship with the school. It's a beautiful school. I go up for lunches. The kids do a
You
wonderful
need to direct
job.
it here, please, to me.
I'm sorry?
Through, you have to talk to me.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
It's a great place, and it's very great school for the kids. But, you know, living in the neighborhood for all this time, you know, we have the traffic in the morning. We have the traffic. You can't go through, you know, if you have to go to Middleton to go shopping at Market Basket, you can't even get up the road for at least an hour with the traffic. And, you know, it's going to add a lot. You're talking 7 days a week now. that things could be going on at the school. For the kids, I think it's great, to use it for their purpose, but to use it as a private, basically, event venue, I just don't go along with it, and pulling the liquor license request out, it's really not making a difference, because if they use somebody else, they'll have to get the liquor license approved, or they'll have to come for a one-day license. So they'll probably get it. Traffic-wise, we deal with it all year. Now it's going to be, no rest. When school gets out, it's kind of nice. Everything goes back to normal. But, with this event planning, it's just going to make traffic terrible in the neighborhood. Not only traffic, you got noise. You don't know what's going on. You've got people consuming alcohol. If you're going to do weddings and events 7 days a week, that you're able to do it, it's too much. It really is too much. It's unfortunate. I think that the select board should really consider, and I think you are really trying to consider the neighbors' feelings about this whole thing. I think it's a private event place trying to make a profit. I mean, they're not going to be able to use the kids in the summertime or at, events, every event. It's just not right. I mean, we're a residential neighborhood, we're not a commercial neighborhood. We don't need traffic 7 days a week. They said, they might not do 30 events, but, you're talking about most of their events would be done in the summertime, and that's our rest period, from all the school, the kids, we have to live too. I don't know. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? What's the will of the board?
If I could,
Yep, Gardner?
I thought about this, obviously, and had some thoughts on, as we all know as board members, unless it's a condition of the license, it's not codified. People offer their best intents, and by the way, I'm in the middle here. I want the school to succeed. I'm a techie. I graduated from a vocational school. And I want them to succeed, and I want them to use the Larkham Center, but I also want to balance that with the neighbors' needs as well. And in the absence of knowing, the neighbors are looking at the worst-case scenario, the school's looking at the best-case scenario, and somewhere in the middle lies the truth. How many events will there be? None of us can tell right now. You could put 2 a day if you wanted to, 365 days a week if you really press it. I'm not suggesting you want to or would want to. I'm just saying there is the opportunity with the license to do that, so the neighbors are obviously concerned what's the worst case that could impact them. The school's saying the best, our thinking is this, a small number for these purposes. So, but I had some thoughts, and I wanted to pass them to the board for a discussion about whether they are, and I'm happy to give you a copy too, for discussion purposes. If you could take one and pass it down. I made plenty of copies, and we can beat them up. Some of them are already discussed and already mentioned here, so they're almost fait accompli. But again, until it's part of the motion and voted on, it's not, the stated plans aren't codified. And I think I made extras if you'd like to provide them. Yeah,
You got-
please. Yep, I did.
I need one for Jill.
Here, I got another one here, I think. Yes,
We can share. We'll share.
there we go. No, I got
You
another
got
one.
one.
I got another one.
Thank you. Thank you, Gardner.
And so, in the thoughts, and if you don't mind, I think we've already talked about, number one, no live entertainment, speakers, PA equipment, or sound amplifications allowed outside the physical building. I think we're good. And I look for your input too, as well as the board's, hey, that's workable. So I put down this, and it was just to start the discussion, but I put down entertainment must stop by 9 p.m. on weekdays and 10 p.m. on the weekends. So if there's music, if there's DJ, whatever's going on, I'm just looking for the residents who say, we've got small children. Do we go to 10 o'clock every night? Potentially. Again, I hate to use, I'm not going to use the worst case scenario, but there's that opportunity. On a Tuesday, Wednesday night, it goes till 10 o'clock. Is that appropriate? Or is there a give and take that we can do that we stop earlier on weekdays?
I'm actually okay stopping at 9 o'clock on weekends because the intent, again, is not to be having double weddings on a weekend. So having it stop at 9 is fine with us.
All 7 days?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
But I'm wondering what the board feels about that.
That's fine.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, that's good. I thought Sunday should stop earlier at 4. But,
You know, the blue laws were outlawed years ago.
Yeah.
It sounds good, but
sounds good, but it's not going to happen.
It's not practical.
I was just throwing it out there.
Yep.
For
And-
my
and
board
we already-
members to consider.
Yeah. No,
Six
that's-
Tech
this is
to consider.
This is a thought process.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to reach a balance that works for people.
Right, and Heidi, you know.
We already heard
we want a
that when
balance.
entertainment's taking place, or actually all the time, you have to keep the windows closed because they're HVAC. But again, we'll just codify it by making it a condition.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a concern, and this is maybe one we have to discuss about. While the license is valid for 7 days a week, should we consider that it shouldn't be 7 days a week? That is to say, you can choose any 4 days during a calendar week, Sunday to Saturday. I think the residents have the right to have at least close to half a week where there isn't entertainment, where they can sit out in their yard and not worry about, I'm going to have a yard party, am I going to be competing? So I'm just thinking a good middle ground to start a discussion point is allow up to 4 days a week out of the 7, you choose the 4, but no more than 4 days in a calendar week.
We are good with that. The only question that I do have is that if it is a student event that is part of the school district, which
Yep.
is different than the entertainment license.
Yes.
Just to be clear.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So certainly 4 days is,
And I'm not trying to omit any comments. Jump in from the board.
I'm just, so if the 4 was allowed, that would be private events, and then there would be an additional school events? So we're back to 7? We could be 7 days again?
Yeah, but
We
there's
have-
probably not 7 school events. You're talking about the graduation, an awards ceremony, the
Yes.
occasional things that are student-oriented.
correct.
But would they know that ahead of time to keep it at the 4 days?
I think then we write it, that we either
I mean,
say something
I
that
had
says.
5 days out of the 7, but originally, that's what I was thinking. But I wanted, as Dan said, I wanted Sundays only till 4. Like, I was thinking something like a Wednesday to a Sunday.
Well, but not to include, but not, so, but, no, you don't, and this is the deliberation, public comment's been closed.
Sorry.
So, I'd be, again, just to try to get it right for everybody. Yeah, I'm trying to suggest that 4 days a week and a 5th day if it's a student-run event. If it's student-oriented, like a graduation or award ceremony, whatever it might be. I'm just trying to give relief.
I'm okay. I'm okay with 3 days a week. We are not looking at booking this all of the time.
Okay. I'm not trying to constrain you. I'm not trying to
I
unduly
don't mind you.
constrain
No, and I thank you. I thank you for actually bringing some things up that can be really helpful. I will, if we do have, say we have a student event, like an
Yep.
award ceremony, it's not that we're going to have a DJ for that. It would be more like a guest speaker.
Yep.
But that would fall under the auspice of the school district and not the license.
So would you be amenable to 3 non-student days?
For entertainment.
For entertainment?
Yeah, I just want to be clear, it's for entertainment.
We're
'cause
only
I
giving you
think-
an entertainment license.
Thank
We
you.
can't tell you what to do with your property.
Right, but I don't want, obviously, because we rent our fields all day and night
Yep,
and
I get
all
it.
weekend. And so I just want to be clear that if somebody sees an event happening on Sunday and it doesn't have entertainment, then we're still covered under
Right.
that.
I'm sorry if I was unclear. These are
license. No, that's a-
conditions on the entertainment license
Just the
at the
entertainment.
Larkin Center.
Yep, so 3 days is fine with us.
Okay, 3 days of non-student events.
Correct.
Okay. You've already talked about that you have a methodology of having the neighbors contact you in an immediate fashion. I'm not going to suggest that they call the police and the police call you. I'm going to suggest that they call, I'd like you to just clarify how they will reach the person at the event Is it always going through Ryan? Is it always going through whatever, however you want to do it? I just like to understand that methodology so that it can be published and the neighbors can know.
Sure. So we will publish our Zoom phone numbers that are a direct line. So there's
Okay.
no extension attached to it. It's a direct line, which actually goes to our personal cell phones. That will be posted on our website.
Okay, great.
We have already given the personal cell phone of Ryan, and that's kind of what he gets for being the director of facilities,
Sure.
farm and grounds. He just got called a couple days ago for a fire alarm that went off. So, that's kind of what his job entails. So we have given that, or Ryan has given that out.
Okay, great. You also talked about, so that's number 6. And you talked about your methodology of tracking concerns and, I don't want to just say complaints, but calls, whatever it is, that you have a methodology of saving that so that a lot of times when we're hearing historic information and we're hearing anecdotal information. If we can rely on you if we have to call back and say, hey, we're getting a lot of complaints, can you show us the log? We just like that opportunity. Knowing that you have a method now helps us understand that if we were to ask that, we could see in context.
Absolutely. You would have access to just like a public record, right? Everything in our email is a public record, but we would keep a log of phone calls.
Great. And same thing we talked about, if you just describe how you're going to, whether you can, and I don't expect that you can have a person on staff at the parking lot all the time. That's not my expectation, but just whatever the methodology might be if there is a situation for them. And then this last one is probably open for a lot of discussion, which is to say, I'm concerned about the commercial use, which is to suggest that except for school-sponsored educational, recreational, social, civic, or philanthropic events, where the students are not providing the services, which is the predicate for your being an LLC, it's for the educational purposes, you wouldn't use the entertainment license. This is the one I expect to get a bit of a discussion, but basically it goes back to my concerns about commercial use of public buildings that may give you a specific advantage over our other businesses in town. So I don't know how that sits with the board. I don't know how that sits with you. I'm just thinking that I am concerned about this. The trigger for all of this was you have a bridal room. You talked about a bridal room in your brochure, and that just sparked the interest that got many people talking.
Sure. It's not, as you saw with the room.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Okay, I know, but what I'm saying is not very large. It was an extra bathroom that we took out, and it's really more for putting makeup on. It's not really always used for the bride. If we have an event in there and girls are getting ready, it has a mirror in there, and and it's a small room, so a bridal party would not fit in that room, as you saw. It's a 10 by 10.
My daughter's a chef, and she would be drooling over the beautiful equipment there. But again, it goes back to some of the concerns neighbors have expressed about private commercial use of publicly funded properties. I'm willing to drop 8 if the board doesn't want to engage it. I'm fine with that. These are just my thoughts,
No, I think
and I
they're
want
good
the board to weigh in.
So can I?
Yeah,
make
let's
a-
comment.
so,
Yeah.
Tying into what you're saying, if you're a neighbor and you live there and the school's running school all day long, and then all kinds of school events as far as sports and other activities that's going on, you're dealing with that. And now we have this building here, where there can be other school events, they're gonna deal with that. And now we're gonna have private events. We're just adding more to it. We're not, it's not getting better to live in that neighborhood. And to tie into the fact that it's a private business, it's certainly beating up on other businesses in town that have more overhead costs. That's right.
I agree that volume will increase. So I think what our best effort is to try to balance the volume to allow them to be successful and provide some relief for the neighbors in that success. And the exemption that was referred to, and again, when we all agree that the LLC relationship is complex. Chapter, I was looking at its chapter, Mr. Barish was relating to MGL Chapter 40A, Section 3, and the exemption is called the Dover Amendment. And the question is, does the Dover Amendment in that chapter actually translate when you go from the school to a LLC that is distinct and separate? We're dancing around, is it distinct and separate, or is it not distinct and separate? And so I think we're dancing around that, but that's the reference I think you were making. But again, I just want to offer these thoughts. I'd be willing to accept the applicant for the 7-day license. I did not understand the section about Sunday being separate. When the 7-day license, when I heard 7 days, I assumed Sunday was one of the 7 days.
Separate Mass General laws.
Oh, okay. I'd be willing to accept with the 1 through 7 that we've already kind of agreed upon, because I think it offers some protection for the neighbors and allows the school to do what they're trying to do, with some limitations. But that's my thoughts. Thank you.
That's good thoughts, Gardner. Dee, what are you thinking?
Tough one. Gardner, can you elaborate on that number 8 again? What?
Well, this is the one, again, we're only here to approve the application for an entertainment license. I'm not sure we can have any authority about the use of that building, about who they rent to, about who they offer. But I'm suggesting that if it's not one of these conditions, school-sponsored, philanthropic, the marquee event, a civic event, social event, if it's not one of those, it's not served by the students and the educators, because that's the purpose of this, then I'm suggesting that they shouldn't engage the entertainment license for that event. So if they're gonna have a bridal shower, fantastic. You're just not gonna use the entertainment license if private caterer is catering. That's all I'm suggesting.
Okay.
And it's open to whatever we decide. It's a starting point for discussion.
Yeah. Thank you for putting this together. I like them. I mean, I think that point will be to make us feel good, but I just don't know how we could enforce it. I think it'll be difficult to enforce. I like the restriction of the 3 days. If I had my way, I would just say absolutely not. But I do want the school to succeed. I live there, and the concerns that the residents have, I do have the same concerns. On what Gardner has provided, is there a way to, if we were to give them something, to have them come back in, I don't know, 6 months as another condition, and also establish some kind of, I don't want to call it neighborhood liaison committee, but constant check-in with the neighbors, open house. And I know the times, I mean, people work. You had one, not a lot of people attended. I actually got there late myself. But something we've had challenges, but with challenge comes opportunity. Could this be what makes the neighbors and the school really start that collaboration? I don't know, but that would be something that I think we should consider, having a process in place where there's check-in with the neighbors, or Monday, 2 months, I don't know, and then limit, if we were to issue a license, limit it to a specific period of time and have them come back and see how that goes.
Dan? Thank you, Dee. What are you thinking, Dan?
I'm thinking the LLC has agreed to 3 days for entertainment. Number 8 says if you have these events, then they can't use the license. So in essence, you're giving them carte blanche to have additional days. to use a license. They can't use it here, so they can still, if they used it here, that would chew into their 3.
I'm willing to,
follow me?
I understand, and I'm
mean,
willing to
it's-
scratch number 8. That was the one.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
was-
it's, I get the intent. But
I just don't know how to, okay. I don't know how to word it in a way that's binding.
Right.
And you're right, enforceable, D. These are post-enforcement. And I'm not policing what they do. I'm not going to go out and check on who they're renting to. I'm
So
going to
if I
wait if we get a lot of
Madam Chairman,
complaints.
to continue, I like a lot of the stuff, some of the stuff, they already said they can't open the windows anyways, but we can put that in writing. Again, I do want to see the minutes of the school committee minutes that allowed the LLC to move forwards. I'd like to see that wording. And as I understand, any single event, the school committee needs to vote on that as well?
For a one-day liquor license.
Or one-day liquor license, so that should be part of it anyways. I think we're getting there pretty close. It's indoor entertainment, that's good. We need to review the chapter referring to dances so that you have an understanding of what's allowed with dances or not. Obviously, the law is restrictive to the type of dances. I'm not suggesting you're going to have, I'm not going to use the words. I don't want to get sloppy. But just review that law on dances, please. Okay.
All right, no, I think that's good. I like this. This is very good. This is how we all work together, listening to the neighbors, working with the Essex Tech. Remember, it's a partnership, right? I like, God, and thank you very much for throwing this all together instead of my notebook here. I like the fact that the 3-day entertainment too. And Heidi was willing to do, 9 p.m., which is good because originally they wanted, 10? So it's a little give and take here. And the traffic study, with the neighbors, the log. If what I like, what my select board member D said, because I was thinking the same thing, is and Dan and Mike and get D. Maybe we do this 3-day, or we, have them come back within 6 months.
I had a problem with that
You know?
because it's the end of the school year. I don't know when they're going to start up. So does that mean they're going to come back in January?
No, December. Have
Yeah.
them come back and have.
It's really, how many months would you have entertainment between now and December?
We don't really
Nothing-
have anything planned right now.
You got
I'll leave
nothing, I
everybody.
assume you got nothing booked yet.
No, not yet.
Could I make a suggestion that often, and I don't, with liquor licenses and entertainment licenses, we rely, and if we get a number of complaints, then we have the right to always ask them to come back. And if we start hearing a groundswell of concern, then I think we as a board decide, do we have them back? And what I'd ask is you bring the logbook and we could validate that, we're hearing 20, but you only got 5, then, or vice versa. I think there should be a check and balance, but we always have that check and
Right.
balance.
But we could request they come back in March.
If you'd like,
Well,
if you want to set a date, firm now.
Yeah, if the 6 months, but I think March would be a good point for them to come back and tell us how successful or not they've been.
Yeah, because I think the measure is what happens in the summer, when people are outside, when the neighbors are outside trying to enjoy their own backyards and their barbecues and things of that nature.
Well, I'm suggesting there's not going to get up and running immediately.
No, but, okay.
This still
March
has
is
to.
fine by me.
Where does this license go once we approve it, Madam Clerk, through you, Chair? Once we approve it, what's the next step?
I would type up their license with whatever conditions that we have come up with.
License will be approved once we sign it, or is there any delay?
No, you don't sign the license, I sign it on behalf of the select board.
Okay.
So it's not a liquor license. The liquor licenses are the ones that you sign.
Okay.
Everything else, I pretty much, at the board's discretion, sign the licenses themselves.
So my question is, it's an immediate,
As
as fast as you can?
as when I get it typed up
Yeah.
and given to them, yes. So generally, entertainment licenses expire, they go through the end of the year. So this would be through December 31st, and then there would be an automatic renewal at that time. I guess at this point, we could issue their license to go to March, if you wanted to do that, and then have them come back in March.
Well,
But
I'm not-
generally,
I would be
entertainment
against an automatic renewal.
I like the December date, but
That's fine, but I don't think first go-around, I don't think I'd
So
want
then
an automatic
you
renewal.
would, you would be looking for them to come back before the board in December.
At that, obviously.
is that fine with you? Does that sound good?
Of course, it is,
Gardner,
yes.
Mike?
Well, I just feel like there's a lot of holes in this. It still doesn't feel right. I think that you folks have to provide more definitive answers for everything because you're located where you are. If you were down the road a little bit in 62, where there's no residents, maybe it wouldn't be a problem, but I just feel the situation can easily be taken advantage of in that there's too many holes in it. I'm not trying to be
No.
indecisive. I'm
but-
saying that human nature is to abuse the situation, and I feel like that's going to happen.
I guess I take a different point of view that I realize that there's been history, some history of the neighbors, but at some point I have to trust that the school's going to do the things we say they're going to do. And we always, as a board, have the ability to call them back and ask them to explain what we're hearing. So, but if you have open questions, I think I've articulated my questions and what I think might be good, reasonable responses to it. I think to give the applicant, any applicant, the ability to understand what answer you're looking for. I understand you feel there's holes, but I would ask, what answer would you want them to give you that would make you feel comfortable?
Well, I guess it makes sense that the school would use it for the students in all those situations, those events. The private entertainment part is where I see it could go astray. Like, how does an LLC benefit the school? Like, what's the return for the school? We don't know yet, or?
I can actually speak for that. So we were going to put this under Essex Tech right up until we applied for this license, when it was recommended by our insurance agent to create an extension of the school with this LLC, which is attached to a nonprofit, which is a deregulated LLC. The reason for them was more for liability. Regardless of that, Essex Tech being responsible for all of the maintenance on the school campus, the building maintenance, the grounds maintenance. It is in there that it gets put into an account, but it's run through our business office. And that business office, much like we do an independent audit every school year, we're working with our auditors right now, it's not a for-profit entity. It's not a private business. It's attached to a regional vocational and agricultural school. And we rent, outside of this building, we rent our fields to outside entities, much like Danvers Public Schools. So I just want to be clear. We are not the only school district that rents space. We rent our gymnasiums, we rent our classrooms, we rent our restaurant, we rent Smith Hall Auditorium, we rent any building, alumni gymnasium. We are renting that space. It is a revenue source. It is how we are able to maintain the fields, get new equipment for our kids, keep our costs down, and also offset the assessments to all of our sending communities. So it's not a private entity. It is attached to Essex Tech.
But as an LLC and a nonprofit, people will be getting paid wages, not through the state, correct? You'll be getting paid through a private entity.
It's a nonprofit. So we are working, actually, and I just want to be clear too, we are working with our auditors right now And I don't want to speak, just like you're a real estate agent and not an attorney, I don't want to speak accounting terms because that's what they do. And so our auditors and our insurance agents, as well as our school attorney that is working on this project, will work on that determination of what the best course is. But all funds will be handled through the school district.
All the funds, the private entity funds will be handled through the school district?
It is not a private entity. It is a disregarded entity attached to a nonprofit, which is part of the school district, that is housed on state land.
Madam Chairman, I think we're ready for a vote,
I
maybe,
think
unless
we're
somebody
ready.
has something else
Yeah,
to
I just had a
offer?
question. What about if we, September, October, November, December, because that's when school's in session, you know, then we could see, then they could come back and
Whenever you want,
reapply.
whatever you.
I like December when it's time for the renewal.
Yeah, just, I like December too, I think.
Yeah, that's fine.
There should be some track record and some enough activity that the neighbors will get a feel for the reality, again, not the worst case or the best case scenario. So I can reiterate
Like to
what I...
read that,
Yeah.
Gardner, for us?
If I might, I'd like to make a motion to accept the application for the 7-day entertainment license with the following conditions, most of which are written here, Kathy, but number one, as is, no live entertainment, speakers, PA equipment, or sound amplification outside of the physical building. Entertainment will stop by 9 p.m. each day. When entertainment is taking place in the building, the windows will remain closed. That, and I'm going to paraphrase this, and you can write it the right way, but other than non-school events, the rental is limited to 3 calendar days in a week, from Sunday to Saturday. The school provides a methodology to receive and track neighbor issues. Just write down what you do. And that it'll be available for the board if we need to review it. The school document a methodology of how the neighbors can reach someone on site during the event, and they've already agreed to put it on their website, how they're going to do that. The school document how the parking lot use will be monitored during the event or in the case of a concern. And then to Dan's point, records of the school committee vote for establishing the LLC will be provided, and subsequent one-day liquor license applications will include a copy of the school board vote. That's my motion.
And to return in December.
And to return in December as part of the renewal process.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
4-1.
Right, well, I just want to say Heidi, Bonnie, Ryan, Essex Tech, Town of Danvers Select Board, you know, it's nice that we can talk about this, little give and take on everything. We want everybody to be successful. We want to make sure that the residents, we want to be sympathetic to them, you know, with their concerns, and we're going to hold you as good neighbors, you know, to your word. And
Thank you.
thank you very much for everything.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gardner, thank you too, putting that together.
Thank you, Ann. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I
very
think you
good.
got me at the word
Okay.
articulate.
Let's see, here we go.
More learning to go.
No,
in.
I just wondered if you have an open
No, that's what I
question, you
mean.
can just say the open question.
Okay,
But
well,
sometimes-
meeting still in order, yep, please. Do we need to take a break, Dan, are you okay to go through?
Let's
Right.
mush,
Okay.
please. Well, I'm going to ask Kathy.
Do you need a break? Are we okay? Let's continue. I think it's, all right, let's go. First, thank you, Jill, again for coming back. The town manager will report to the board on various items of interest.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I will keep it short considering the hour.
Excuse me, quiet.
Wanted to say thank you to Kelly, and I'm learning names, so Kelly Reyes Texera and Dick Moody for a successful Memorial Day parade and ceremony, and support from the DPW, Fire Department, Police Department, and everyone who participated and watched. There is a Sustainable Gardens educational event coming up on June 13th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Endicott Park. It's no cost to attend. More information and registration is available on our website, and it's being run through the DPW, through Sharon Clement, and they're doing a wonderful job. So please take a look at that. It's going to be a fantastic event. Reminder that Town Hall and other town offices will be closed on June 11th for Clean Sweep Day. My understanding, and I'm thrilled that this organization does this, it's a day that staff dedicate to cleaning, organizing, getting rid of files. I'm convinced that municipalities will be buried in paper if we don't do this. We work closely with the clerk on retention schedules, so we're clear of what needs to be retained and what we can move. There will be a phone system turnover. I know there was money approved previously, and then again this year. Phase 1 of that phone system turnover is happening Friday afternoon through Saturday. That'll be, the senior center already happened. That'll be town hall and all the town buildings. It does not include public safety or the schools, but we ask for patience from the public, and on Monday, as we'll be finding out how they work. The tests went well at the senior center. And the user experience from the outside should be similar. There are very few extension changes during this phase. They'll all be updated in the auto attendant and on the website. And for those who ask, it is compliant with current E911 standards. The public safety turnover will be done on June 17th, midday, because that's their lowest call volume time. So stay tuned for more information on that. And to let you know that the airport resolution that you discussed previously and signed and has distributed to those listed, and if you have questions on who specifically received it, I'm more than happy to answer that, but I can leave that out in essence of time.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Thank you, Town Manager. Okay, so we will go to correspondence select board.
Actually, before that, I move we accept the consent calendar.
I'm sorry,
as
yeah.
it appears.
Thank you. And,
Second.
yep, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
And I just want to point out that with the consent calendar too, we usually sometimes might cancel the July meeting if there's nothing pressing, due to summer holidays, vacations. So, but we'll keep you posted on that. And then we're going to move the September.
It was up here.
It was on the 2nd of September. We're going to move it to September 9th. Please note that on the calendar. If you don't have a copy, we'll be more than happy to get some new copies. Yep. Oh, good, thank you.
Yeah, I thought we were going to talk about it at the next meeting. I thought that was what was said, but
On the 9th, okay.
I'm fine with this.
All right, and, okay, so we had a second on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? At this time, correspondence, Select Board, new business, previous new public business, updates, and Select Board closing comments. Gardner, would you like to start?
The only correspondence I got was from interested neighbors and between town council and the town regarding the Larkin issue. So, nothing else.
Thank you, Gardner. And thank
other
you for
comments.
putting that material together for us. Mike?
On a different subject real quick, and I might have to ask Lieutenant Sullivan, in the whole North Shore area, there's been a rash of car breaks. I don't know if we're feeling that here in Danvers, but I would just suggest to people, lock your cars, don't leave anything in the car that can be viewed through the glass, anything important. They're coming out doing the stuff while you're tucked away in your footy pajamas. Are we having that happening here in town? Are we going through that? We are, okay, all right. So, yeah, public, just don't leave anything in your car that you don't want to get rid of, and lock it up. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Dee?
Yeah, most correspondence were about the Larkins. It's one of those votes where I had to put my personal inconvenience aside and look at the public good for the school, and very torn, but just want to reassure residents that it's not a blank check. This board hold the possibility of bringing the school back here if they do not hold their end of the bargain and reconsider this. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Dan?
I did have some correspondence from a business person concerned about the detours on Locust Street and affecting his business. The manager, through Mr. King, provided an update on the project, the plan, the water main, a water pipe replacement. Thank you, Jill, for that information. I attended the ribbon cutting at Maple Square along with Dee and Gardner this past Thursday, a well-attended event. The place is coming along very nicely. Unfortunately, the fence is on back order. The neighbors are a little concerned, waiting for that fence to get put up in the back. But everything seems to be moving fine there.
Excellent. Thank you, Dan. Let's see, I just wanted to say thank you, great example of working all together. This was really good with the applicant and the board and coming to an agreement. Thank you for the parade. Town manager walked in her first parade with us. That was wonderful. And what else do I want to say? Oh, board members, we can discuss at the next meeting the assignments. So if you have a preference, just email me that. And I just wanted to say thank you for, I'm sorry I got a couple of the agenda items mixed up. I'll get the glasses better next time. But I think this is really good. This is a step forward. We talk about transparency. We talk about everybody's opinion matters. And there's going to be differences. Everybody's going to have differences. But it's nice to talk it out and come to a good resolution. But thank you very much. And at this time.
1 second before you go to Dan, I had one thing that I meant to mention. As a new employee, I had a lot of paperwork to fill out, but I want the town to know, I want the citizens to know that I filed the appropriate disclosure paperwork. My wife and daughter and another relative work for the town, but I will make sure the disclosure acknowledges that, and I will not take direct participation in anything that affects them in a direct line of sight. If we vote on the school budget, that's as a whole. But I have filed that disclosure paperwork with the town clerk.
Wonderful, wonderful. And any concerns with that, we can go through the town manager for town council. But I just want to say thank you. And Dan, do you want to?
If you see a vet, please say thank you.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you. Good night, Danvers. And thank you for everybody working together. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.